What the year?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Spot On. I'm Renee Rose, your host, and today we're interviewing Tami Kieffer. Say hello, a big Spot On welcome to Tami.
Oh, thank you, Renee. It's so wonderful to be here and to be able to share and just live this journey with each of you.
Yay. Well, I'm so excited. I can't wait for all of you to get to know Tami. She is kind of like I am. We do a multitude of things. So we're going to start off with introducing Tami, and then maybe a little bit of her story, and then a lot of all the wonderful things she does. So welcome. All on you.
Thank you. That sounds great. So a little bit about my story. Well, from the time I was little, I always felt different. And I know so many of us have and still feel that way at times. And it was one of those things where I was always more connected to nature, always connected to the subtle energies, those subtle shifts in frequency, and where you're able to empathically pick up on whether or not something was true or not, or if someone was going to be ill, instantly sensing that something is wrong with their body, those kinds of things. I was also a contactee, so I did see and experience a multitude of things from the time I was little. And when I would wake up at times at night in that frozen state and seeing the different beings around my bed, and not understanding at that time that I was a contactee. And however, having many different things happen during childhood where I would just know certain things about technologies that should exist, those kinds of things. So it kind of stayed with me throughout my life. And even when I worked in nursing, just knowing when someone was ill that something was off with them, just being able to look at them and not even understanding at the time that I was also picking up on the energy field, not just how they looked, but it was an instant knowing walking onto the unit that, you know, they were going to have issues with their diabetes or little TIAs. I used to pick up on TIAs a lot, which are those mini strokes, things like that. So
yes.
always in tune that way, and just knowing that there is more than just this earth, knowing that there are a multitude of dimensions that exist upon every planet in different systems of light, and being very connected that way.
That's awesome. I felt a lot of those things when I was younger, and I was so alone and had nobody to talk to with all the astral traveling and things that were showing up in my room at night. And who could you tell? I mean, if you told anyone, then it got worse.
Yes, very understandable. I remember trying to tell an aunt of mine, and I used to wake up a lot with marks, what looked like mosquito bites, but were actually in a row. So that wouldn't have been a mosquito or an ant or anything like that. And she just told me I had bugs in my room, spiders, things like that, which terrified of spiders for many years, because I thought that they were biting me when I was sleeping. And I would actually go around my room with tape and tape every hole I could see. So, but they would still continue. And just that they weren't aware of the signs to look for, which is nice, because now at our ages, we're more aware and we're not silenced by misinformation and superstition. So we're able to guide those that have followed after us. That is one of the blessings of coming in when we did, and being able to guide those that come after.
Right. We understand from experience, but with the wonderful internet now, you know, I mean, gosh, I guess that started in the 80s, you know, back in the 70s, we were trying to still strive. In the 80s, we were able to start to talk, but now in, 2000 and almost 2020, you know, we are uniting, and there's enough help that it's trickling back down to the children, you know, and finally, you know, we're able to start helping the children when they're very young. And it's very critical right now, because there's so many beautiful young souls being born now that really need that nurturing instead of, you know, all the other things that we got. They really need the support and nurturing, so they can come into a more awakened world and be more awakened as they come in. I mean, we all were, right? And then we kind of shut down. So I would like it to where they stay open. Wouldn't it be nice if everyone stayed open at 5 instead of shutting down because everyone's like, oh, don't say that, you know. Instead, they're encouraging, yes, let's go talk to grandma. You know, that's one of those weird things that happened to me on the playground is I would see all the grandparents around the outside of the playground, and they'd tell me to go tell those kids to quit hurting somebody. You know, and I was like, I wasn't that strong to go tell someone to quit hurting someone, but because of the energy I did, I felt like I had to, and I'd go up there, and I was amazed they didn't just smack me for getting involved, but because I walked up with grandma and grandpa and the energy, they actually turned and looked at me, and I think they saw a part of their grandparents or something, the way I was talking to them, where I'd use a pet name or say something that their grandparent would without realizing it. Then they'd freak out and they'd leave the person alone. So instead of beating me up and bullying me, they were scared of me.
Very understandable, especially because it was not taught that people would know and have that telepathy, that enhanced intuition. And it's my belief that we're all intuitive. Every single one of us. It's just some of us come in with it turned on more than others as part of our life path to remember and grow with it within the earth frequencies. So that's always been such a beautiful thing to see, especially when you're working with children, to see them as they're little. And with my grandson, it was like watching him go into a corner every day and talk to Archangel Michael. That was beautiful to see. You know, they're very turned on, and unfortunately, as they get older, unless you're having that conversation with them and really supporting them, they do tend to start to shut that down still. But I think just like with us, we remember those things from childhood. So I think it's all good in the end, because they're going to remember it for the dates that they preset in the future, that they're going to start remembering and reawakening and remembering those times when they were little, that they had those experiences.
Absolutely. Yeah, because we do remember, don't we? So you're right. Even if they do shut down a little, they'll remember and they'll come back. So for you, I walked in around 4 from a near-death experience. So was it for you, have you, I mean, because you're just so amazing. Did you just were born that way, or did you actually have a situation happen?
A little bit unique. I actually was born that way, but I also had some walk in and walk out moments, which a lot of us starseeds, one of the ways that they awaken us, and in my case, I felt like I had asked for it as well. So I had several head injuries, and during those times, there were times that I walked out, and I would remember everything about who I'm supposed to be, but I wouldn't have that emotional connection. And it's truly my belief, having walked out and walked back in, that it was still me, just parts of higher selves, other dimensional selves coming in and having that earth experiences, which is rare for this time to be able to do that, to walk in, walk out, and come back in. Mm-hmm. I think it enhances our journey within this lifetime to be able to do that, have full memory of the walk out, walk in, and be able to feel the different dimensional selves coming in and getting to experience. That's kind of a rare thing, I personally believe, but I really enjoyed the fact that I was able to experience it in this time, and it gave me more clarity. I think it gives a person more compassion when they have to come in, be in that body, and not have physical use of all of it at the time, have these family members around that you know are yours and not exactly remember that emotional connection, but know that they belong to you. It sure is one big learning tool. So it was with great gratitude that I was able to walk back in and stay me. So
exactly, that's
alert and aware.
I've never heard of that, and that's so awesome, because I'm actually afraid, or was afraid of that, you know, because when you walk in, you understand that it could be a temporary thing, right? So I'm always concerned about mediumship and channeling, because I know, like, I could be just temporary here, and if I let something come in, that something else might come in and take over. So I've always been a little concerned about that. I wasn't sure, you know, if walking out meant we literally left and we weren't coming back. So I didn't know if I could come back, so I didn't want to try that either. I just know that I'm here, and I just keep, you know, going forward. But that is awesome, because that's one of the reasons why I started the walk-in group, because there's so little information on walk-ins. So as soon as enough walk-ins start coming into the group, and then we start talking about it more, we all have so many questions. I mean, that's a whole discussion on its own. When I'm
Yes.
ready, I'm going to have a panel of all the walk-ins together, like on
Oh,
Zoom.
that's wonderful.
We're all going to talk about that.
And I think it's important because I don't think that at all throughout time that people were aware enough to assist with the integration for those walking in. And since mine was about 20 years ago, there wasn't any support to assist with that integration. And now there's so many of us that have worked through the dimensional fields where we're able to see and spot it and assist, I believe, with that integration of who they were with another aspect of themselves. And
Absolutely.
You touched on something where you said that you were a little afraid of opening up that much. And to me, that's all about sacred space. When you learn how to properly set your sacred space within your own personal field, you're setting that intention of what you're going to allow in at that moment. And once that circle is set around you, you're free to open up. You're free to allow in your angels, your guides, your family of light, because if you have already set that intention that nothing else is allowed in. And that is one of the things that I'm very passionate about, is teaching people how to set up that sacred space so that they can feel free to go into channeling, to go into meditation and fly, literally fly, be that soul self in full bloom, and once again be able to experience.
Well, you did for me. Thank you.
You are welcome.
I have been doing that since you suggested it, and because I just fill with love and light and feel that I, because I used to always be mass protection, and I don't feel like I need to. Archangel Michael always protects me, so I hadn't really. I just created all of it, but I hadn't really been sealing or closing anything. I didn't think I needed to, but now that I've practiced it and done it, it's just integrated into what I do. When I'm all done, I say, seal my secret space. And I can just feel like this warmth. It doesn't change anything, doesn't shut anything off. It just, the intention of the fact that I just sealed my sacred space does it. And it's just one more thing to add, because our general, our disciplined practices are changing. It's from 30 years ago, 20 to 10 to just, 10 weeks ago. I mean, things are shifting and changing so much. So as we awaken and new things come in and develop, we need new techniques to handle them. And that's what we are there for, because we've gone through things and we can help them. And again, thank you, because that's your very intent thing. And you got that across to me the first time we talked. And I instilled it, and it works, and I feel stronger. I'm much more confident. I'm not afraid. But see, I'm open that way. I want to express my fears. I don't want to come across like I'm a know-it-all. I want to express my fears so I can help, people, because that's how every time I say something, then someone else comes out and helps, and then it helps everybody else listening. So thank you very much, because that's very important. You're right. It really
You're welcome.
makes a difference to me.
And for me, it was a personal lesson taught to me by Saint Germain when I was taking channeling classes, because they had sent, my beautiful angels and guides had sent, I can feel them around, agreeing. They had sent to me so many times that message of sacred space. And I wasn't listening. I thought, well, it's one world. I say it once, I'm done. I really didn't understand the importance of it. And after suffering through a channeling class for several times, I finally asked, and Saint Germain came through, and he said to me, which his first words just stopped me dead in my tracks. I was like, oh, this is real. I felt his energy hit me with it. He says, my dear child. And I'm like, whoa. That's not the channeler talking to me.
Right.
And he said, how many times have we brought forward the message that you need to put up your own sacred space? And he told me in that moment something I didn't understand for several more years. He told me that you are an open portal, and it is imperative that daily you set up your sacred space. You do not know who you are. And at that moment, I just thought, human? I had no idea what he was talking about. But because he came out and took that moment to speak to me, I paid close attention, and I went home. And from that day on, I started doing my own sacred space. blessings in that. I found out instead of hiding away in my room all the time or not wanting to go out in public because I was feeling everything, being so empathic, I could go out in public again. I could go be in groups again, and I wasn't feeling everyone else's energy anymore. So it is very important when we think of who we are as a soul. We're light, we are frequency, we are energy. So it then makes perfect sense that we would want to seal just our space for us, so that we're not only connected to, but we can differentiate anything else coming in and instantly begin to feel, okay, is this an energy I want to be around or not?
Right. And I did practice that last night because I went to a group of a friend of mine had an awesome little gathering for Christmas, for the holidays. And it was a different interaction with people. It was very different. I was able to bounce around, talk to everyone, and be a party goer rather than, feeling like, oh, I got to get outside, or I got to go into a room, or, bombarded with so much energies that my emotions would start flying up or down or out or around. And so last night I actually just was like a social butterfly.
That's wonderful.
I could tell the difference. It was just a simple thing like saying, seal your sacred space. It was like, oh, okay, just a very simple thing you said, but and I know better, and probably everybody else knows, but it might just not have been brought into our discipline,
Right.
whatever. But now it's important. It's not a negative connotation either. Like I thought maybe, it was going to close or something else. It really does it's really, like you said, purely from your willpower.
Right. And the beauty of that intention itself is getting you to understand and really get deep down and personal with your own frequency, because we don't think of ourselves as frequency. Right. When you go into sacred space every day, you become very clear about what your frequency feels like. And as your angels and guides come in, during that time you're setting that intention, you're also building that bigger and stronger relationship with each of them, where you instantly know whose frequency is there when they come in. So when Saint Germain's there, I know exactly what angle he's coming into me at, and I know what his frequency feels like. Each of the ascended masters and archangels will come in a different direction. So that is a beautiful thing for you to practice.
Okay.
For myself, I found as I paid attention to where they were coming in at, then immediately when I would begin to sense that frequency coming in, I'd be like, oh, I already know who that is. Even before I would see them, I'd feel their frequency. Mm-hmm. So it's all, I think, going forward into the future, going to be that training ground of us remembering who we are as frequency and how to connect, and the actual strength in that connection, what we can create because we're once again connected.
Awesome. I the channeling, the real quick channeling that we did took me into different places. When how can I put it? When they said, let's go inside and, go in deep and silent yourself and go in, I went in on a different journey than I ever really did before. I kind of circled around behind my brain and then went down inside into around my heart. It was just swirling around my brain and my heart while you were talking. I'm like, wow, that's a different place. So the Arcturian level took me to a whole nother space inside.
Yes.
It was really nice because I only channel my higher self because of that long-term fear, which I now have released, because now I know that I have sacred space sealing and I'm going to be fine, and that I have choice to stay in my body or release it and let it go, so I know I can open up and start letting some of that out now. And but anybody out there, any of you who want to know anything about your starseed, as far as channeling, Tami is awesome with that. And you can just go straight to her and she can help you right now. Learn your past, learn your origins, help you with doing, channelings for you or with you, or help you possibly do it yourself too. It's just one thing Tami does. So why don't we go ahead and let you start talking about, your story or more of the things that you do too. Those are just the things I quickly gleaned off.
Okay. One of the things that I was guided to learn from my angels and guides was Reiki. and it became a passion to bring back the origins of Reiki. And within that, I found a way back into other past lives where I had done Reiki before. And it finally made sense for me why the sacred geometry of it, why the symbols were so important to me. We see a lot of people letting go of the symbols, not understanding that there are a multitude of layers. It is endless, of the unending, I mean, of the multitude of layers that are held within the frequencies of the symbols. And you can take those not only at face value of where they're at, but you start placing them on your body within each of the chakras, it unlocks and it opens other doorways.
Nice.
Now you take your chakras and then you take Reiki to the chakras of the earth, it unlocks doorways there.
Okay.
And it's within the study of Reiki itself and within the study of energy and frequency, when you're really becoming in tune and placing that intention into each of these sacred spaces, the amount of doorways is infinite. And they're asking me to say it again. The amount of doorways available to you are infinite into your past, into your present, and into your future. And this encompasses each 12,500 year set that the earth becomes north and south and then switches back again. And that is why, of course, at this point in time, we're seeing so many of the ancient sites being, quote unquote, found again, that were not brought forward because they were kept secret from us for so many years. Now we're remembering those. And even when I've been in meditation, I remember being in a meditation with the Sphinx at the pyramid thinking, what happened to the other one? Male and female duality. There is another Sphinx. Well, I did see that over I think it was over the last couple of years, where they were talking about another Sphinx there. And it's those kinds of things that start to open and reawaken those memories that there's more involved. Even another place I went to was Boynton Canyon, and they have this beautiful statue, and you can see the male figure. But if you look down just a little bit, you see where the other part of the female figure was, and her head's missing. It's like, wait a minute, who removed the female figure? So you can see all along the dualities of where the female aspect has been removed throughout history. So it's very interesting, again, that we're in the age of where the female energies are coming back in. So it's those kinds of things to pay attention, no matter if you're male or female, that part of your history had been erased, and it's time to remember that.
That's right. That's right. That's a lot that's going to be coming back. A lot of things that we all thought were real. Well, we spiritually have been, growing and learning. There's other truths out there, but the people that have pretty much just followed what everybody told them, and hasn't done their own personal research to get their own personal confirmations, are going to have some new things to learn.
And that being the beauty of meditation right there, because that's where it's going to come in for you. That's the beginning of where it's going to come in.
And I think the ones that, just can't handle it are the ones that are contracted to leave, right? They just can't.
I try not to even, I don't even focus on that. Through the training that I've had and being as close with my angels and guides as I've been in Family of Light, I've really learned to let them have their journey, and I don't even focus on it.
Okay.
You want to make yourself stronger, start meditating every day. Put up your sacred space every day. It is one of the biggest lessons that I learned. And through the meditation, they are sending you your own team, and we all have teams that are with us. They're sending you information, whether it's through frequency, whether it's through where you see the symbols, you see the pictures, some see color. No matter which way it's happening because that's the way that you best communicate with your guides right now. And if you want more, simply ask. They're waiting to hear from you. And they cannot come in because of divine directives until you ask for it. So start asking every day, whether you're sure of who your angels and guides are in this time or not, start talking to them. The more you talk to them, the more you intentionally start to create that frequency between both of you. And that's what it took for me. Was I was given that directive by another dear soul who said, I'm not telling you anything else. You have the ability to do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, start talking. They're waiting to hear from you. So I was like, okay, I'll just sound crazy, but whatever. And I went home and I started talking every day. I started writing my intentions down, looking at them morning and night, stating it out loud. Again, I am ready for the next thing. Make it gentle. You know who I am. And you know that you'll probably have to bring it more than one time because I'm going to dismiss and ignore it. I was a really big skeptic. Even though I'd had these experiences from childhood, I was a very huge skeptic. It took them 3 years to get me to go to Reiki. It took me another 2 for me to listen to and go to channeling class because I didn't believe I was going to be a channel. What it taught me when I went into channeling class was it taught me how to reach that intuition that was happening whenever willy-nilly it was going to happen. It taught me how to reach those frequencies on purpose, exactly what I was looking for. How do I talk to you? How do I see which angel, which guide is around me right now? Channeling class taught me that because it teaches you skills and how to reach those frequencies.
Okay. Okay, yeah, because I haven't done. I was thinking I should probably do that next when I'm ready, because I've done the Reiki, but I didn't get into the symbols as much either because it wasn't instructed as much. They showed them, but they didn't even get into. My Reiki master didn't get into calligraphy or drawing it or encompassing it or anything. So I liked what you said about that because you take the symbols much further than. And
right.
A lot of doors.
And one of the things my guides taught me in the very beginning was to take those symbols and draw them out either on me or in front of me and putting a color code up and stepping into it. And then just being in that frequency, creating those frequency bubbles. Step into it, really get familiar and take the lesson being shown. Write it down when you get back, once you step back out of it and you're back into your body, writing down what your experience was. I have drawers of different files where I wrote down different experiences. And even though in the beginning, I really didn't think that I was experiencing that much, when I went back and I'd look a year later, I was surprised at how much I really was experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to kind of track your own journey. In the beginning, I didn't write a lot down at times, and other times I did. Some people say, do you write it all down? Impossible. It's happening all the time. It's impossible to write it all down. But I do take the really extraordinary ones and I write those down so that I can be sure to share those with others in the future.
Right.
So
that's awesome. And everyone always says journaling, obviously, because when there's just this years and years and years and years and years, and when you start, you don't realize how many decades down the road you can look back and go, oh my goodness, I'm so glad I did this. Because if you're going to go back and do any kind of autobiography or you're going to write any book, you've got your instant research done right there.
Right, exactly.
And by your own hand, and it will trigger things. Plus, spiritually when to write down the things that are probably the most important to you. You might not know it, but spirit will let you know, right? To write down those things. And then decades later, you come back and go, there that was. I didn't understand then what that was, but now I get it, right?
Exactly.
So it's very important. And you do the Reiki. So that's the one thing I also want to talk about to everybody is, I guess the dog wants to join too. So you are, from what you expressed to me before, are great, really one-on-one. So when you do your Reiki classes, you said you keep them extremely small.
Right. Usually I only allow about 3 people in because we're looking at an 8-hour day and it is very focused, very detailed. And my goal and my purpose of that is to make sure with each of the attunements that we're giving that it's done as a personal experience. And in doing so, there's a lot of tears because each person has experienced exactly what it was that they put forward to experience in that time with their angels, guides, and family of light. So a lot of what I'm seeing, they are seeing. But if they're not given that full time and attention during the attunements, to me, it's a huge amount that's being lost of connection. I want that connection to be made for them so that when I'm not there in the room and they're doing it, they're going to remember this big, grand experience, and it has been a big, grand experience for each of them.
Right.
They're going to remember that, and each time they go in, they're going to remember what things to look for and how to reconnect to that. And it just keeps growing. And a lot of times, what we're seeing right now is old masters from centuries ago and different time loops ago are coming in, walking right in. And the beauty of that is not only are you seeing the master that they worked with in that time, but you now have access to that master.
Nice.
And they continue to flow. You can share that master with each one you meet. And to see the emotions and the real raw emotions of what's happening with each soul as they get to experience this, there's just no words. It's just so beautiful to be able to do it that way. So all of my classes will always be small, one-to-one, where I'm making sure that they're getting that divine connection.
Awesome. Because you don't realize when you start Reiki, you think, okay, I'm going to learn how to be a healer. This is going to be awesome. And you take your classes. You have no idea what you're walking into. I mean, unless somebody literally explains the whole process or they watched you go through it. Most people come in completely blind, really, to the experience that is possible. And first you go through all your clearings and your lovings, and you get to a nice clean place, and then you open, everything up, and then you introduce things, and then things start happening. And when you start actually healing and working on people, more things happen. It's just, for any of you out there that have not taken Reiki, it is a absolutely wonderful thing that I think everyone should do, because it totally opens up to your own healing powers, your own healing ability.
It's very personal.
On so many levels, and it is so personal. It's not just, I want to learn to be a healer. No, it's all about, let's go on a real intense journey real fast into you, get you heightened up to here to become a healer, understand it all, and then let's go do it and show you what it's like. And it's like, whoa, I mean, every week is so intense. It's probably more advanced than just about almost any of the classes I've gone to. I mean, the channeling is wonderful and everything, but Reiki on its own level is so intense.
Well, and it's infinite. The amount of learning that you can get by doing it on yourself every day truly is infinite. And in doing it, you're actually expanding your light field every single time. So some will say, oh, this is the newest and best and greatest. And, oh, you've got to do this one. This is better than this. There really isn't. What it is you're working in different frequencies. It's up to you how far you want to take the layers of frequency.
Awesome.
There is no end. There really, truly isn't. I've worked with frequencies up to the 195th frequencies. And people say, oh, we're in the third dimension. We're in the fourth. We're in the fifth. This is where we are. This is what we can access. I'm here to tell you, you can access anything you wish with intention. There are no more limits. Truly, we have the availability. When you go within, when you study your soul frequency, you have the ability to access whatever it is you wish. You just need to make that personal relationship with yourself, your angels, your guides, your star family, and they will help make that happen for you, with you. But they're not going to do it for you. It's all a muscle. It's all a muscle. And a lot of people, when I meet them, they're like, well, I did this and it's not happening. But are you doing it every day? Are you working it every day to make yourself stronger within the light fields? It's not just something that's going to just, okay, I got the frequency, I'm good, and I'm done. It's a process. It's a muscle. It's like any other thing that we study. The more you put into it, the more you'll get out of it.
And that was going to be you answered my next question was, I did it 25 years ago, and it was just with one person, and they're away, and I didn't know any other options. So I just did it and took off on my own and did my own thing from then on. And I've, worked into doing remote healing because of the internet. But that was going to be my question. Should we do a catch up or an advancement or a reconnect if we've already done it, but we want to try to, upgrade it or better yet, because this is a new time and a new frequency. So we're changing, and so are the masters and the instructors are changing too.
Exactly. So the beauty within that is when I teach, one of the things that I like to really do with my masters as they become masters is we like to switch a lot. And if they've been attuned, we reattune, because the beauty in this and what you need to understand for people is that each of you carries soul codes from many multi-dimensional fields within your DNA. And by doing and getting those attunements from other people, you're connecting with their soul codes, and they're connecting with your soul codes. And we're all meant to share this information with each other. So if you go through life and you say, well, I only had this one experience and I'm good with that, it's up to you. You know, if you're good with that, that's fine. But if you're looking for more and you're looking for more connection, that next person that you might have said no to probably, very likely, had the next set of soul codes that you were waiting for, that you predetermined would happen at that moment in time. So it's all about awareness and listening to those gut feelings, you know, of who we are and where we're supposed to be, and not letting any one person color your experience by saying, oh, it should only be this way. There really are no rules to that. Reiki was meant to expand. It was meant to grow. It was meant to, there's more and more codes coming in all the time. Each time I do a class or I'm working specifically with a person, I get a new code at this point.
Nice.
And so then it's a point of studying it so that at some point I can start releasing these things out for the public as well. When I take those notes down, I like to go within and take time away. I always give them the code so that they can continue, because that was important. There was a reason it came for that moment in time. But then I also take time to really meditate and study on it and ask, okay, who's coming forward and why are you coming forward? What do you have to bring to, you know, put more icing on the cake here for everyone? So
Right.
it's really that where you're just the vessel. You know, it's not me. I'm the vessel listening to what spirit is bringing.
Right. Absolutely. That was the biggest part of my healing adventure, was because I started off, my father was a chiropractor. So I got to spend time learning at a very young age through x-rays how our body can heal itself. And we don't need meds and drugs, that we, you know, can do it ourselves, which again was a very different way to be brought up. So even that wasn't normal for me. So I went down, you know, an alternative healing path at that point, and wanted to be a chiropractor, but with my dyslexia, I couldn't read enough. I couldn't read fast enough to go through all the courses fast enough the way they wanted you to. So I just kind of went down the spiritual healing path myself. So I watched the doctors, and I watched how, you know, I worked with, even at the college. So I watched a lot of different doctors, and, you know, with them, a lot of it is their ego, because they go through school and that's what they're taught. And I was like, wow, you know, and I could really pull back. And when I got into Reiki, you know, and it taught that we really truly are the vessel, you know, that our faith, you know, is actually is coming through. You know, then I was like, oh, I could step back. And as an empath, I wasn't taking in so much anymore. I was starting to transmute and transfer. And then when my faith in myself got stronger in my heart with my creator, then the healing just really took on a whole nother level. So, you know, as a vessel, that's the first you realize you're strong and you're capable of healing. Like, wow, I'm an angel, I can heal. Whoa! I mean, once you accept that, you know, then you feel worthy, right? Then you feel like, oh, I can do this. And then you go doing it. And as long as no one puts any limits on you, you realize really whatever you believe is possible. Now, I believe so much that I had to kind of calm myself down, because other people didn't believe that. So there's been so many things that I've kind of shut down, because in order to fit in, and now it's time to reboot back up, and it's not quite the same because of putting
Isn't it changed?
You know, it did. And I think menopause too, hormonally, that changed. But I have to say I feel stronger, because the more we know who we are and the more we feel deserving, which is the biggest thing I feel with people, is that they don't feel they're deserving. And so once you get them up over that first block and realize, oh, I'm an angel, that took me a long time, because that came out during Reiki. It's like, I'm what? You know, and I'm the only one? Am I, what's going on? Oh, are you sure? You know, just understanding you're an angel is so overwhelming. to truly empower yourself to understand you're truly a god and goddess, and to say that non-egotistically. It is a long journey.
It
I hope
is.
that everybody nowadays, it's a much quicker journey for them. I really.
Yes, yes. I know when I first started, there wasn't as much of that. Even though the community was out there, the information wasn't coming out as quickly. And that's why I like to do those personal sessions to make sure that, when I signed up to be your sensei, that's a lifetime commitment. I'm here for you. And I also created a group of my own um, uh, people that I've worked with in making them into Reiki masters, so that if I'm busy, they have access to everyone that's come forward. And we've all been really good that way. Everyone that I was able to be blessed to become a Reiki master for, was in a sensei for, was they were the kind of people that were so open and so loving and giving. And at class, I always ask, okay, and just let us know who of you would be available. And I've never had anyone say that they're not available to help and assist others. So we pretty much keep a pretty open communication, and we do Reiki shares together to continue to gather and strengthen the fields that we've already connected to, which is really nice. And that's the important, is staying with the people that you've taught in the past. They were with their sensei for a long time. I think it's important that we still do that we still connect with those who are within those soul groups. They chose you for a reason. So to be open and allow for the learning and growth amongst each other, we expand exponentially.
Well, darn it, I didn't get to have that. So I had a good, instructor, and really fell in love with him big time. And and just afterwards, it just kind of stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And I never talked to him again, ever.
Right.
So I've been all by myself doing all my own stuff, running through the 80s, a Reiki master, with nobody understanding what it was, and trying to help people. And only, on the internet have I been able to really start sending my remote Reiki again, and start, involving that. And I definitely got a connection with somebody recently saying that, you're probably going to need to do some more learning. And I'm like, learning again? I'm like, whoa, I could maybe do some channeling, but I would really like to go back and, and re-tap into the Reiki. So for
Right.
people like us that are just kind of out there all alone, how do you think we would connect with people just
Well,
like this?
right. And that's the beauty of the Reiki shares, going to different Reiki shares and seeing where you fit, because you're going to find your soul family there. I was really blessed that each one of the Reiki shares I went to, I met more and more people within that soul family that I really connected to. And we've kept that community going. We're still having our Reiki shares monthly here in Mesa, and we're expanding it to another location where we've always been the lady that I was working with, she held such a beautiful Reiki share, and everyone was welcome. Even if it said we were full, we were never too full. And I love that. And we've kept it really open. And a bunch of those members, we all still are very good friends, and we work together as a community in our community. And so that's the thing, is there's a share out there. Just rejoin different shares and get to know people. And you're definitely welcome to come up to Mesa when we have ours. We're going to be having another one on the 30th of this month. So definitely check out. You can find me. Oh, January. Yes.
January.
Thank you. January. I'm already on my January calendar, so thank you.
Okay. I was going to say, because today is the 30th. So
I know.
You don't mean today.
Yes.
Okay.
I always forget. So
it's
thank
okay.
you. But right. So there's going to be those groups. And if you don't have a group, maybe you could be the one to start the group.
Oh, okay. That's true.
In your location. And I do always offer to people, well, if you're further away, how about starting a group? If you need some help getting it going, there's several of us who might even be willing to come down. I'm always willing to come down and show you how you can get it started, those kinds of things. And just staying in touch with those people who are in that same profession, because someone's probably already experienced it and may have more information on how to go forward for you.
I normally am in the Mesa Tempe area right now. I just ended up being down in Maricopa, which is unique. I would have never guessed I'd end up down here, but it's awesome where I'm at. So I plan to stay here for a while. And it is like an hour from Tempe south, and it's like an hour north of Tucson. So, and I'm really close to Casa Grande. So even though I'm not in Mesa where I really wanted to be, I'm actually in a nice spot now for two places, for Tucson or Phoenix, to be a great in-between place for a small group.
Yes,
We
that's
can handle about
beautiful.
30 people maybe at the most in the backyard here. Right now it's a little cold, but when it warms up a little bit more, the backyard is just completely serene and awesome, and the
Oh,
dogs
that's beautiful.
pretty good. So that would be awesome. I would definitely like to come and join your group, though. It is tough being alone. I mean, I'm okay, but I know it could be much better, and I do want to upgrade because it's been 25 years. So I mean, you would definitely tell people or encourage people to pick back up again, wouldn't you? To
Yes, yes.
further your
And that's,
education.
I've had several people come back and re-go through my classes that had taken it before many, many years ago. And they said, I'm ready to go forward, but I feel like I need to be reattuned. And they listened to that yearning in their soul. I've also, when I started, people said, well, you had Reiki in your past. You don't need to do it. And I just never believed that. I looked at them straight in the eye and I said, I did, but I haven't had it here in this lifetime within the earth frequencies. And that's important. And within understanding that right away, it was able to see the difference on where I was frequency wise. Yes, I could send energy. Anybody can send energy, but there is a difference that happens when you train with the tools and become very precise with understanding this one does this, and it's all about flow and frequency. I run into that a lot as a teacher, being able to teach people it should flow. You should be able to understand and feel the differences, the nuances within the fields of energy that you're working with. And if they weren't taught that, then definitely contact me. I'd love to show you how you can connect and really feel the flow of the frequency. And I've actually met many people out there during those that did not know how to do that. So
Absolutely. And even if you do, it's changed so much in the last 20,
right.
30 years. Again, in just the last year, that, when you attune now, you're attuning to different energies, frequencies, and earth tones because so much has changed.
Exactly, yes.
And I can
So
feel
the
that.
more that you do it, the stronger you will become. And that's one of the things that my group has been really good about. Every now and then we'll be going through, and one or the other of us will say, you know what, I think it's a good time that we do another attunement,
Right.
because we're feeling the differences. And it's just that inner knowing, and listening to that inner knowing. Because of that, our growth has been really exponential on where we've been learning and accessing so many doorways and halls of light.
Is it okay to have then multiple attunements? I mean, people are saying to you, don't need to be attuned, but, I think that, whatever we feel is good for ourselves probably is the right answer, right? If you feel
Yes.
you need it, then do it.
Well, and the whole thing with that, again, you're connecting to cellular DNA and
Right.
crystalline diamond light codes.
Yes.
And that person brought their set. You brought your set. The next 50 people brought their set. So why are we holding ourselves back thinking that, well, I've already done that?
Right.
If you're getting the message from your angels and guides and family of light, that maybe that might be the next step for you, there's a reason, because we each carry and hold codes for each other. And it's interesting because I'll have gone to a sacred place with one person. I'll have the one experience, but for the next 5, I'm having a different experience for each one of them, because we all hold key codes in our cellular DNA.
Right. Awesome. And they're upgrading too because of the crystalline change.
Yes.
So that would make a total sense to kind of, update and upgrade. I mean, doctors are constantly upgrading their, energy. So, we're healers. We can, start educating ourselves and upgrading our energy as well. And attuning to more of the, just, I don't know, they're just, frequencies are just so much different right now. They're higher, they're louder, they're stronger. Maybe it's to me, but I don't think so. It just seems like they're just wow right now.
Well, and part of the reason is because we're becoming very aligned and in tuned with the multitude of dimensional and planetary frequencies, which is one of my passions, is reconnecting people with their planetary origins.
Yeah.
And through doing that, I host classes on planetary systems. And the beings that we have been able to meet and connect with have left me absolutely speechless at times, most of the times in tears. It's such a beautiful experience to see the etheric realm and all that exists within and around it. All of these planets had life at one time, and you can still connect to the life that is there. It is phenomenal, the information I have received. And what's wonderful is when I'm bringing people through these meditations with the planetary systems, the archangels that oversee them, because an archangel oversees every planetary system, they are seeing the same thing that I am seeing. So you know it's real.
Nice.
Because I don't even have to say it, and they're already coming in and saying, oh my gosh, we're right here. And it's like, yes, and now look to your side. What do you see? And they're seeing exactly what I see. And so
nice.
That kind of experience, to be able to have that soul light and frequency experiencing now, it shows us that the doorways are all wide open now. There are no more holds. There are no more closed doors on what we can access. It's all there and available to us when we're ready.
Nice. And so many are getting ready now too.
Yes.
And sorry about the dog. She's just standing at the door and she's barking because she wants to talk. She wants to join. And I'm trying to like calm her down, but I don't think
it's all good.
Okay.
It's all
I don't know
good.
if it's coming across really loud or not, but so that we're going to show people with a link afterwards how they can access you for any Reiki
Yes.
situation, whether being worked on or learning to become one, right?
Right. I'm at www.ascensionwithin.com. And I chose that name because when I was going through my training, I realized that everything I needed to access was already inside of me.
Nice.
I just needed to reach out to the teachers that I was being drawn to learn how to access them.
How to do it. Awesome. So you have so many things. What else would you like to go through from Reiki?
For Reiki, we are having Reiki classes again in January, as well as the Reiki Share. Again, those can be found on ascensionwithin.com, as well as Facebook. I have another group called Ascension Within, and then Meetup, we're known as Ascension Within. So that helps you to get connected to different classes. The people I'm connected to are also hosting their classes in there so that you'll know what other classes might be drawn to you. We're all a community, and we're all one. At the most basic, we are all one. And so the more that we learn to reach out and train and work together, the more we're going to be opening and expanding those doorways of light that we have access to.
Right. Makes sense. And I'm so glad you're here, because you're a person that I get to go and physically can be near.
Yes.
I mean, I do interviews for people all over the world. So whenever I get someone who's close by, it's like, awesome, because I can actually go to your group now. I can actually go, and work with you on so many different levels. So I'm so overwhelmed because there's so many things I want to do with you. So I'm going to have to put priorities and, and make
work them in, right?
Schedule, and we'll work into all the different things. So obviously I'm very much connected with the Reiki, and I'm trying to, start learning channeling more. I've been real connected with my higher self, but the other channeling, so that would definitely be something. What else do you think, something else that you'd like to talk about you can do here?
And that's the importance of where you're looking at. Whatever calls you, whatever you're drawn to, whether it be Reiki or Lao Chi or channeling, meditation, there are a multitude of different frequencies, each one being a frequency. So if you're drawn to a healing arts, no matter which one it is, there's a reason. There's information waiting and held there for you. So it doesn't have to be Reiki. It doesn't have to be meditation. It can be whatever you're drawn to. That's what you should follow. There's no one greater than the other. It's just a frequency that you chose to work with in this lifetime.
So what are the things that you can do to help somebody, since you have so many different things?
One of the things I like to do when I do single sessions is just spend that time talking to them. And in the moment that we make that connection, we start out by setting up our sacred space, making that connection. Their angels, their guides, their star families start coming through. Planetary frequencies, we feel that connection beaming back from the planetary frequencies. So we're able to connect to that. And when we do so, then it brings us back into maybe who they started with. what system did you start with, or how many have you worked with, or what frequency right now is the one that's trying to contact you and help you remember who you are as a being of light. And then through there, we work with your angels and guides coming in. What messages do they have for you? What is it that you can get out there and do? Or maybe you're already doing it and didn't realize that you were already there. You just needed to know who to talk to.
Right, exactly. So are you a coach as well? Do you consider
Yes.
yourself a coach too? So you're basically, what I'm understanding here is the best suggestion would be to set up a consultation with you.
Right.
Go
To
from
do
there.
those single sessions. If you're really wanting
Right.
to fly on just your own soul growth, those single sessions really help give you good guidance. And I've got people that come every few months, some that'll come once a year, just to see where they're, okay, I did all that now, but I'm not sure where to go next. And they'll come back and do another session just to figure out, okay, I needed to be in alignment again. I needed to know where to go next. And the doorway, because they're asking, is always open, which is very nice.
Well, now that's a good question just popped into my head. Do you understand human design a little bit? You understand about projectors and manifestors?
Yes.
Okay, good. So the projectors, which I believe we both are, I don't know what you are. You know what you are?
I believe for myself, it'd be a little bit of both, because you're going to be projecting what it is you bring. Now you're focusing on what you want to manifest. And manifestation and intention is the hugest thing that you can do for yourself, is paying attention to that and putting forward, what it is. And placing that intention is a frequency. So the more you place that intention and think upon it, that frequency takes you where you need to be.
Right. So as a projector, one of the things that we're supposed to do is wait for someone to come to us and ask, basically almost giving permission, saying, I need you to do this, or can you help me with this, or this would be a great idea. While you're sitting there, collecting all your information, all your experience, all your education, you're waiting, out there enjoying and putting yourself out, but we're still waiting for somebody to say it's okay. So if we want to, that's what I was thinking, if we wanted to go to you, then you have a way of opening up and maybe giving that permission. Spirit can give us that permission to go to those next levels, because we're actually hearing it through a vehicle like you as well, to get that confirmation that it's our time now, to not wait, it's time to do this.
And I think for everyone, it's time.
Yes.
Now, focus,
no matter
go
what,
forward. It's time for everyone to fly forward. And that's the interesting thing of having these sessions. And sometimes it's just meeting someone at a group meeting. And I'm one that if they start beaming in, and I'll feel it as a frequency, I'll feel it as a heartbeat. Sometimes it's somebody tapping me, but usually I'll feel it as a frequency. And it's just like this amped energy. And it's like, okay, and zoom. Okay, know exactly who you're coming in for. And I will walk up to them and I will ask permission. And that's the biggest thing that you mentioned, is asking permission.
Right.
I have this message, it's coming through. Would you like it? If they want to have it, then we share it. If they don't, then you don't share it. I don't believe in doing drive-bys and just walking up to someone and saying, oh, I got this and I'm supposed to tell you, because they may not have wanted that information. So it's very important to ask that permission.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love that you can take people farther and deeper, so that we can ask permission from, higher entities. If we can't do it ourselves, you can be the vehicle to help us to get over there. Yes.
Right. And a lot of that is just knowing that you have that same ability. It's a matter of, is that where you want to go? Okay. So you've given yourself permission to go forward, set up your sacred space. Now, who do you want to work with? There is a multitude of archangels, ascended masters, and family of light ready to assist you. So as you connect to each one brings a different frequency, brings a different message. And don't lock them in a corner, though, because where you think one might only do this, they all do a multitude of things. So if they're coming through when you've gone to, say, the Great Pyramids, and you've got one that's worked with you really well, and then all of a sudden you're getting a message from another one, hey, we need to go to the pyramids. And it's like, oh, but you're not. I work with that one. Those are the kinds of things that limit us.
Okay.
So being open understanding that, okay, you reached a new frequency and you've got this ascended master or archangel or star family member that's coming through. They have a message. So
Right.
if you close that door, you're going to miss that message.
Gonna miss it. And if we don't know how to do that, how are we going to? I mean, it's really hard to do it by yourself or read out of a book. So when
Right.
you've got somebody there, you're actually watching them. They're the example. You're watching them do it, and then you're like, wow, if they can do that, I think I can do that. You know,
And
and
that's,
back to the confidence, and then like, okay, now I'm doing it, but oh my goodness, what happens when this happens, and why are they doing this, and this came through, is that okay? You know, it's like, you know, is Jesus talking to me? Is that okay if Jesus talks to me? I mean, at first it's like, you don't, you know, when it's new to you, it's like very overwhelming, you know, because you're just not
yes.
ready for that, you know?
And that's the beauty of training into frequencies, no matter which modality you choose. That's the beauty of training itself.
Right.
None of, you know, you're in this new
You're right.
body. You
Mhm.
need to retrain, because this body, this family heritage that you came into this time, has not physically experienced it yet.
Right.
So even if you trained in Reiki in a multitude of centuries, which I've seen myself now back for, you know, into other centuries training on it, I hadn't done it in this body, in this family heritage yet. And so it was very important. I think people short-sight themselves by not getting personal training. And then I'll hear a lot, well, you know, I'm not seeing myself go forward. And to me, it makes me a little bit sad for them, but it's their physical choice not to take more training. And for those that can't afford a lot, again, you start asking your guides, show me, where do I start if I don't have a lot of money to get into it?
Mhm.
Those kinds of things. In the beginning, I did not have a lot. So
Right.
what I did was I joined community events where I could go to groups for smaller fees. And the other was I talked to my guides and I said, okay, I have this wonderful thing and it's called a computer. And I have you make it happen. Let's make this happen. I said, I give you permission to have things appear on my computer so that I will know what's going forward, you know,
Yeah.
and I also would at times when I feel like energies were getting dull and stagnant, and I'd be like, okay, I already know this, and this has been like 3 months, I'm bored. And I'd be like, oh yeah, I forgot to ask. Next.
Yeah, no, what's next?
I would forget to ask. And that's the importance. It's the more that you ask your family of light to help you, the more that they will. I
They will.
think the big thing is that we forget to ask.
Mm-hmm. And like daily. So
Right.
everything I keep hearing from you is the one thing I'm not so great at, and that's called discipline. So everything, if it's because if you really want to accomplish success, then you need to discipline yourself on certain things. You can't just willy-nilly yourself. You can, but it'll take a long time, and you kind of do it willy-nilly. But when you really dedicate yourself and you get yourself into a discipline, it's amazing how many things can happen. And you're right about, you don't have to have money either, although it sure helps a lot.
Yes.
A lot quicker. But when you don't, you have to just kind of, you only have yourself to talk to. I got real lucky because I was waiting and waiting, trying to produce different things. And then it was like, okay, let's do this. Because I'd been wanting to do interviews for a year, but I just waited for the right time. I had the first person ready, and Rick's like, let's go, let's kick it off. I'm like, okay, can I interview you? He's like, yeah. So that was it,
Yes.
between the 3 people I had ready to go. So now the wonderful thing about it is that every time I go to interview somebody, I'm getting to connect with them first. And so we're exchanging information and codes. And so I'm ultimately getting, a little bit of wonderful information and education from each person I'm interviewing, which I didn't think about because my full intention was for promotion, to everybody
Right.
everyone has a story. So I thought that's a great premise, and it's easy for people to talk about their stories, and since I have the group of people that I'm working with, they'll have something they're promoting. So I figure between their story and their promotions that it would be a simple little premise, and it would be easy for me to just keep promoting because I'm already doing it. So I literally had no other expectations at all, other than let's just do this, let's roll the promotional ball. It's the same thing for me as it is for a whole group, so it's much better for me to do it for everybody. And I know that the sponsors will come. I know that things will happen. I just have to have faith. But I didn't think about the fact that, oh, how wonderful it is that I get to interact with each one of my special guests that are just phenomenal angels, each one of them. And so, yes, with a very small budget to start, very low income, it's actually still working out, because I know by the time I'm done with 20, 30 people that I will have a very strong net infrastructure of wonderful angels, and that when things start going, I will know who, because the people that came to me first were the ones that were willing to spiritually help people
Right.
for free. Okay. And so for a year and a half, I've had to just do free help because that's all I had. So all of those people are the ones that I'm doing first right now. They're the ones I'm interviewing because I want to give back to them for all that they did for me. And again, it all will snowball into more things. But I've also spent, lots of time as an actress and modeling and filming and producing and directing. So I literally can do it all myself. So I like to say that if I can do this, you all can too. But I also have to say that I have 40 years of learning experience, how to turn the camera on, what to do with it, how to talk, how to edit the film, how to cut it all up, and then how to get out and start producing, direct myself while I'm doing all. I don't have any manuscripts. I just go right from what I know. So I make it look easy, but I've only worked my whole life to get here. It's just now producing at 55. So I'm more confident, and then every new person like you that comes in is just really adding each one, so that when things really do take off, I will know exactly who I'm going to first, and I'm sure it'll just blossom into more and more and more. So I'm only bringing this up because it's exactly what you're saying. Anything is possible for anyone. And if you need help, you really need to find someone you resonate with. When the student's ready, the master, the teacher will come. And Tami is awesome for this, everyone. If you guys connect with her in any way right now, that's why I'm bringing her to you. She is awesome one-on-one, why I'm getting ready to start doing more groups and multiple. I'm not doing as much one-on-one. And so Kathy is perfect and wonderful for one-on-one if you need that kind of guidance, you need that kind of help. She does so much. So the best way to start that all would be to go and have a one-on-one consultation with you. And she's very fair and loving. She's not going to do anything. She'll tell you exactly what's proper and what's going to be necessary to do each thing, and help you start from maybe a square one to work your way up to where you can be. Because that's what I've always said. If someone can help me get some money, then I can turn around and invest back into them. But that's not the way it works. It's just not. It's just a matter of having the faith and doing it, and then the universe starts to provide. And like you said, the manifestation frequency too.
Right. It's all about that intention. And, that was the biggest lesson for me was in asking and seeing how much they brought forward. I was able to start studying on those things that were already on the internet and already free. One of the things I like to do in my Ascension Within group on Facebook is to offer some of those free meditations. So that gets you into some of the frequencies that I'm working with already.
Right.
And when I was working and asking my guides, okay, what can I do? One of the things they brought forward was to study solfeggio frequencies. So I would turn them on, crank them up when I was cleaning a house, all free on the internet. Those are ways that you could start, because they're working through fear, they're working through liberation, they're working through a multitude of emotional, spiritual, mental, and physical frequencies. So that's one way to tone your body if you're not having, where do I start things. And the other was when you go into meditation every day, as it's making you stronger, pick an ascended master, pick an archangel to study and ask forward with you. I would spend sometimes a week with one, sometimes 3 weeks with one, as I was working through what it is specifically they help and assist with. It was in doing so that I became very strong with understanding their frequency, their energy field, and the type of messages that they bring through. So those are things that you can do easily on your own as well.
I hope you all listening to that. That was the biggest nugget right there. You're just so advanced. It's so wonderful that, because confirmation and affirmation is so important, and that's what we're getting in our unification now, and capable of just surpassing what we can do by ourselves. So it's really important to really connect, and that's why it's so important to bring so many different types of people, because we're only going to resonate with our group. So whoever resonates with Tami right now, if you're feeling that, there's a reason why you're watching right now. There's a reason that you're feeling that you may be asked, you know, where can I go? Who can help me? And if you're watching right now, chances are it's probably Tami. I mean, and I'm glad
Thank
that I
you.
can bring, you know, introduce her to you. That's what this is about. So I want people to come to you who resonate with you. You can, if you're here in Arizona and Mesa, you can go to her personally, but I'm sure you can help everyone over via the internet
Right.
worldwide.
I
Right?
do a lot with the remote as well.
Awesome.
I've got different clients that sign up to do channeling classes just via email. We'll go on Zoom just like this, you know, and we hold the class just like this, and they make a recording. They're able to keep it for themselves, and it's
Right.
just amazing the growth from beginning to where they are now,
Right.
and seeing the different places that they've been able to access within themselves because they took the time. And again, that's about self-care. That's about doing for you. If you don't take care of you, it's really hard to take care of others. So if you're wanting to increase and enhance your growth, sometimes we need the assistance of others. And that was a big lesson for me, is to continue to go forward. And when I was getting those, you know, frequency dings of, you know, I needed to go talk to someone to learn to listen to my guides, gently showing me, okay, this person might be the next one for you. This person is the next one for you to do this. So it's all about paying really close attention.
Nice. I got a lot of that when I astro traveled at night. I got to a point where I was just meeting everybody in astro before I would meet them in person. And so I was being really close to be careful and watch that, because I started realizing, oh, I'm going to a party or something, because I just went to a party last night. So I know I'm gonna go somewhere where there's a whole bunch of people, and sure enough, I'll be invited to a session of something, and they're there. So you got to kind of watch what's going on in your dream state as well. Maybe keep a journal or a piece of paper next to your, you know, bed,
Right.
so that when you wake up, you can, you know, write down some of the things, because if you kind of ignore it during the day, then they'll kind of get you when you're sleeping.
Yes. And it's fun to see how creative our guides and family of light are, even family members that have passed away.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter how far we grow, we still have so much to learn.
Oh
I
yeah.
would have had for a couple months, I think it was, where I was seeing feathers everywhere
Mhm.
constantly. And I happened to hook up with a friend that is really good about connecting to family members who have passed away. And as we were in there, and she kept bringing up certain things, and I'm like, wait a minute. Suddenly I just knew. And I said, what would the symbolic thing be that my grandmother would send me if she was trying to contact me, as my challenge to see if this was my affirmation of, was this really happening? And she said, your grandmother would send you feathers. And that's exactly what
Mhm.
I was seeing them all over. And it was one where you'd go in a place, come right back out, or open your door and it'd be like, wait a minute, that wasn't there a second ago.
Mhm.
And it was just, you couldn't miss it, those kinds of things. So
Mhm.
pay attention to what universe is trying to tell you, because there's probably a meaning behind it.
Right. Right. Especially feathers. Feathers
Uh-huh.
and crystal stones, gems, you know, they just show up, and things are energizing now too. Have you noticed the crystals are like taking on new energies?
Yes, just like we do, because we're crystalline beings at our core. So yes, definitely.
That would make sense. Okay, so you touched on the coaching as well. Is there anything else you'd like to mention as far as coaching?
We do have some classes coming up this month. So on the 8th of this month, there will be channel class. If you have not already attended our channel one, that is a prerequisite. Reason
Okay.
being is we're amping up on each one. We're actually growing in the ability and the strengthening field that we're using on each one. So it's really important to do each one of them as they come through. So we do have that series that's going on for 7 months straight. And so what I've been doing is, if they didn't meet the first class, I've been doing them separate with them so that they can catch up with us at the second or third class, that kind of thing.
Okay.
We do, and with a wonderful group of people, where we get together once a month at the firehouse here in Mesa, and we offer for free to do an angelic meditation as well as angel card readings. And they also do the tuning forks. We have a beautiful, wonderful woman who does the tuning fork frequencies for us. So, and then I work with people with the planetary tuning forks and getting them messages that direction. So that's free once a month. So again, you'll find those on the Ascension Within site. And so it's just there, anything that you're interested in, it's probably going to be on Meetup already. Start just Googling what it is you're interested in, because you'll find other people who have the same likes that you do, and in that expand out as a soul to who you're meant to meet.
Right. And that's what I've been noticing. Meetups is probably the best place, huh?
It's a really good
area
place
to go find other metaphysical people, whether it be Reiki or channeling or just esoteric intellectual
Exactly.
discussion.
Yes, crystals, you know, whether it be that, anything. And the thing is too, if it's not in your area, maybe think about starting one, because it has to start somewhere.
Mm-hmm. I started one last weekend for my 3 different levels, and
Yes.
I just held space for all 3, and at some point I'm sure we'll be ready to go, but I'm probably going to go out myself to the meetups myself, meet people in the different groups, and then, you know, invite them in. But if I find a group that's already going that I really like, then I'll just invite people into there if it's already rolling. So I'm sure there's lots here in Phoenix area. I'm sure there's lots. I just wasn't doing it because you had to pay to get in and everything. But once you're able to do that, then, you know, you can really fly in the meetup area.
Right, exactly. And there's a lot out there. Like I said, there's a lot of groups that gift at least once a month for people to come and at least get to know like-minded people and share. It's just a matter of finding, and if not, you know, offer to do a trade with them, that kind of thing. So there's a multitude of books and information, right?
Even if we do the same thing, you know, even if it's a tarot reader and they just want to do tarot from me, I'll just turn around and do tarot back, you know.
Right, exactly.
And there's always information, because each new person has something different codes, different information, different experiences. And so actually we do need that, right? We actually are supposed to go out and try to connect with people, not just hold up and be a hermit, you know. I mean, we have our own times that we need our solidarity, our solid and sacred time, but the rest of the time we are actually supposed to get out and interact. And if you can't at least get outside, we can, other than the internet, we can turn the camera on, and, you know, that's what I got to do now. That's what, you know, the new year is going to be about. I'm going to be on more often. You know, if I want more, then I got to be on more.
Yes, and that's such a beautiful service that you're offering, and connecting and bringing those connections to the souls that are out there ready to expand on their journeys.
Well, I hope so, because it just started off flying. So, you know, and my intention is just purely loving and helping and doing something I'm already doing, and, you know, just see how it rolls. And those are the things that turn into just things I could have never planned for.
That's
you know,
very beautiful.
I waited long enough for this one. I waited a whole year.
Right.
I really think I can do interviews. I think that's going to be the best thing, you know, and we'll see what it morphs into. So thank you for saying that. That's awesome, because I'm really working hard at it, and yet at the same time I'm playing and having fun. So each time I'm learning a different, like this today is Zoom, but I added a new camera and a new computer, so it took me a little while to get it going. But each thing opens up a door for something else. So the Zoom is what I want to launch now. So can I talk about it here now? Okay, so I'm going to break out my surprise during your interview.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay, so we were inspired, Jean-Paul and I, to do more of a board situation like I was talking about. So with Zoom, we can have about 24 people all at once, then record it. So everybody who's doing an interview like you today will be asked to join and come onto this group or board or whichever way. I haven't quite figured out how to call it yet. It can be, you know, just that group of people for that month, or it could be anybody who's been in the past. But because people are so busy, you know, and just be once a month, and hopefully we can pull everyone together. Then we'll talk about what's going on, the pertinent things because we're all tapped into the same source. So when you get, you know, 10 or 20 people we're very, enlightened and tapped in, I'm sure source will come along and we'll find a subject each time.
Oh, definitely. And having those councils of light available,
Thank you.
you're able to share that information back and forth with each other. And I think it's imperative to have a council of light on the earth as well. And just understanding that they don't just have to be in the etheric, and they don't have to be just another planetary system. We're the ones we were waiting for. We're the ones that already brought the light here. So having that council of light here is just a beautiful aspect to help us grow.
Right. It's an extension. I mean, I always wanted to be a galactic ambassador. Well, I always have been. Forget about wanting to be. I always have been. So now it's a matter of, okay, you want to do it? Then do it. Nothing's stopping me. So, well, then why can't I be a galactic ambassador right here, right now? I'm going, let's do it. And we all are. It's not just me. We all are. So getting a panel of angels together, I think is like bringing a board or a council and getting it started. And then doing the interviews will allow them to be the ones that can come in instead of just opening up to everybody. It'll just be everyone that we've introduced to everyone. And then like the inner groups too, I want to be able to do a Zoom group meeting for everyone inside the groups too. So not only am I launching the group with Spot On, which is actually the past Spot On interviewers, but the other group like my 5D human design and sacred geometry, I'm hoping that, Rick agrees to this, but there's Rick and I think Picanella or something. I can't remember her name, like Piccolo, something like that. She's got an awesome chart as well. She's got every single chakra activated in her chart. And then one of my mentees came along and has 0 activated. So now I've got one that's completely nothing and the other one that's all, and then I've got Rick's. So I thought, well, let's add all 3 plus mine, and we'll start doing some comparisons by showing people the difference in the human design charts versus just looking at the people. Because, you get somebody who's in a different section and you can see the differences, and it starts to become more easy and aware of seeing the difference in people, because we're all alike. We all use the same thing. It's just how we've all blended it together and created our own uniqueness. And then astrology, I love that so much. We can prove how unique everybody is, and it's the uniqueness that I love. So that's the really big secret, is I'm waiting for him to say yes. We're almost there. Last time I didn't want to pigeonhole him into a box because he wasn't sure in a couple of days when he was born. So to me, that immediately just said, okay, we'll just wait. But as soon as we can, really actually peg a time, then I can create a chart for him. And then just literally turn on the Zoom and just go right on in and have 4 people. Because I've been really working on how to do one-on-one, and this is great for my interviews and everything. But then I thought, well, there's got to be more. There's other things we can do. And once this just came up, I was amazed how many people were into it. I just made a comment, well, again, inspired, who's into human design and who's into sacred geometry, and poof, the group, I made the group for it to be in the specific, and Stone took off with it, and within 2 days he's had, within a week now, he's got almost 100 people in there. So there's a lot of people that are interested in the advanced levels, because I have a lot of coaches and psychics. I would expect they're all at higher levels. They're all going to be wanting to, talk about that. But somebody who's never even had an astrological chart doesn't even begin to know what human design is yet, even though we can still take it right to that infinite or that finite, projector, manifester, and generator. So we can tell them real quick and easy what they are. And then if they want to go into it, there's all that endless years and years and years of education. I learned astrology in about 6 weeks at a community college. But this human design that I started learning about 3 years ago, I don't know how long it's going to take to actually learn it all. It's just incredible, very in depth things that are coming up nowadays. It's just amazing. What do you think?
And astrology is fascinating in itself, how much it can predict exactly where we started on our life path and things in time frames of when we had trouble with that part, different portions of our life. I was absolutely blown away by how easily that can predict different things in our life.
It's very scientific. That's why I went for it at first. It was the first thing, like, I'm going to go learn astrology. I can learn that, you know.
Yes.
And then I realized that it's a lot more than I expected, but I got a lot of it. And the human design is the part that I realized that there's no way I'm going to learn it that fast. That is a real, and anybody who's actually been doing that for a few years is going to be way far ahead. And that's going to be one of my next interviews.
Oh,
So
that's wonderful.
everybody has a little bit of something, you know, and that's what's, and we're all different, and yet we're all doing the same, and yet we have our own spin on everything. So that's why I can have several Reiki teachers, and they're not going to be anything like you. Okay, especially Reiki. Reiki has got so much going on, and channeling is a matter of maybe helping people to become channels. But once you are, you tap into so much and so much information.
Right. And you're already a channel. You just need to learn the skills on how to tap into it and how to tap into your intuition, how to work yourself through the frequency fields to access the different holes of light.
That's right, because we're all literally channeling our higher selves when we go into ourselves.
Right.
But the other things are still channeling, we just aren't maybe aware of it.
Right. And it's limitless what we have access to.
I know you keep saying that, and I'm glad you do, because you know, it's like we've had limits for so long. It's like I have to bust through my limits, you know, to constantly say yes, get back to yes. If you can believe it, you can do it. I mean, if you can believe that there's another side of the universe, you can go there. If you believe that there are 50 universes, multiverses, and you want to go to the other side of them, you'll astral travel and you'll go there. If you know and believe that there are other existence, other aliens, you can go to your ship and you can go talk to them. You can now pull in your dragons, pull in your aliens, pull in your ships, you know, and most people are like, what? But
Well, literally, the other fields are just that far away from you. It's just a matter of, okay, your field's here. They're all that's out there, and you can exist in those realms and dimensional fields with them at any time as you choose to train yourself to do so.
How about jumping dimensions? That's pretty hard for people when it first starts happening.
It's actually one of those funner things.
It is fun.
Anything that's going as far out as I can go is fun. So
right.
What's interesting about that too is there's a reason. If you're being pulled to jump a dimension, there's a reason. So in doing the training, whether it be meditation or channeling, to learn how to work with those frequencies, it's in learning to pay attention to what did you see when you crossed to that dimension? What stood out to you? Who was trying to connect with you? Was it yourself in that time trying to connect with you? What information can you bring back into this time? And a lot of those fields that have collapsed over the last several years to where we're able to reach any dimensional field we wish, there is a multitude of information we have access to. So it's just a matter of fine-tuning our individual soul code and cellular DNA abilities to access those halls of light again.
I couldn't even talk about that for years. I mean, I've seen dimensions. I've seen other parts of me. I saw an expansion of me touching my next self and then my next self over there. I felt that when I was very young, and anytime I even tried to bring that up, people would definitely freak out. So I just stopped talking about that, and I stopped talking about astral traveling. I could talk to myself and say I either, you know, I'm talking to myself, or I have a play friend that I'm talking to, you know, and can get away with that. So I can talk to myself all the time and get away with that by at least saying that too. I have a friend that does the same thing. So we find ways, you know, to make things work, no matter what. And then of course, all of it was divinely agreed upon ahead of time anyway. So, you know, the more difficult things can be, the more we actually push ahead sometimes. If it's all simple and easy, we're not trying to, you know, change. We like simple and easy sometimes.
Yes, definitely.
So we have to be booted a little bit sometimes to try those things that aren't so comfortable and easy.
Yes, I was really lucky with the guides and angels that I picked. They stayed with me until I finally listened. And it did, in a multitude of cases, take years for me to actually go forward with the message I was getting. I was a very stubborn student, and I was one that it had to really slap me in the face for me to take notice and decide, okay, this really is real. So some people hear it once and jump right in. I was one where it had to happen a lot. I was very skeptical because of the upbringing, because of people telling me all my life that that wasn't real, and being very careful into
Right.
what I wanted to learn about. So it's nice now to be on the other side of that, having finally listened and seeing what a blessing it was that they were bringing me.
Right. That's so awesome. So, and I appreciate, thank you for all the information you gave me. We were only talking a short
That
amount
was
of
fun.
time,
That's
but
how quick
man,
it happens.
yes, I know, it was awesome. And I'm still trying to, get some more information on Quinceañeroto. So I'm still, and thank you for giving me my name. No one's actually ever done that before. So that was really nice. And I don't
Yeah.
typically, even at the psychic fairs, I end up being, the only astrologer, and everybody else are psychics and stuff. So I ended up being the one that they were coming to. So it was wonderful, because it is different with astrology than it is with, but they all go together very much so.
Everything goes together.
Very
Right.
much so. Yeah. It just depends on what it is. Like with me, the black and white part of it, the scientific part of it, the numbers, I'm totally into numbers and deductions and the sacred geometry. So all of that pulled together. And like everything else, it's just been a remembering. I already knew it. That's why I learned it so fast, because I remembered I already knew all that. So I just
Right.
really tapped into astrology quickly and astral traveled naturally and been channeling my higher self on a regular basis. So now that I've got masters and, and angels that I can go to, it really helps, because when you've been doing it all alone, you just have to constantly affirm with your heart.
Right.
I
Right.
mean,
And I think it's in that daily practice that you finally let go of all the misconceptions, the preconceptions that you have. Because for myself, it was every day that they were coming in, and I would leave the session in absolute awe and wonder. And it was about, I had been doing it for myself for about a year, when they continued to start bringing more and more. And they said, okay, great. Now take it to the masses. Now take it to others. And I'm like, what? Me? Who? No, no, no. I was very shy. And so that one kind of put the fear in me a little bit. And, but at the same time, I realized what a beautiful gift it was that they had taken the time that they had over that year to assist me in my training, just by me asking them every day.
nice.
And so then it was like, it would be unfair not to share those same beautiful gifts with others. And then it was just a matter of, okay, help me get there, help me get there. And they just, in their beauty and infinite wisdom, helped me get there. So
Yeah, the divine and divine synchronicities are wonderful, because
yes,
I don't ask enough, and you're right. That everyone listen to this every day. Practice something, right? Just something. Ask for something. Power up. Even if you're just doing your normal ritual of clearing and powering up, just that alone. I do that every morning, when I'm showering before I go do anything, so that I'm ready, for whatever's gonna. It's like putting on my makeup. I also do my energy and power up, clear and clean and power
yes,
up, and then I'm ready for whatever, comes up, because man, you got to be ready. When
right,
divine intervention comes in, it doesn't come in, it comes in, well, I guess if you ask for it easily and gently, it can come in. But with me, I just say, bring it
right,
on. And it comes flying in, and I got to be ready to roll, because it starts a spiritual journey. It starts this train gets rolling, and it's
right,
like it just catches as it rolls. And it seems like when I try to do it myself as that projector, it didn't work. But whenever someone said, okay, I need a train, can you make that train go now? I'm like, oh yeah, I've been waiting, and I'll grab it. And spirit knows that, right? So there's always, if it's not working, it tends to be you need to learn something more. There's something else that needs to come back in. And then, because with astrology, it's really about timing. Because we get into someone's point of view, but we also, the minute they take a breath, lay out a timeline. And that's where we can basically kind of predict. But really, it's a
right,
timeline. So, it's amazing when you start looking at, you have things lined up for you all through your life. And it's like, oh, you mean I could actually do this not knowing what I'm doing, and it'll all still just happen. And that's the perfection of it all. So us
right.
that like to control think we got to do it all ourselves. we've already done it before. Our control came when we first started it all. That's how I like to say, oh, I'm in control because I planned all this originally, so now I can surrender and let it all happen. As a control freak, I have to literally talk myself into the fact that do you know, it's taken me 55 years to really understand the concept that everything is perfect. I just couldn't really grasp that in this kind of a world. It's like, are you kidding me? Even as a minister, I know it, but to really accept it, truly, you don't until you get to a certain level. You just can't see the perfection in everything until you start seeing with your third eye and your heart and understanding, wow, all of it's necessary. All of it.
Right.
And it's so hard. It's really hard to accept that. And that seems really simple, doesn't it? It seems very simple to
all
think
in the allowance.
Everything is perfect and we don't have to worry about anything, that it's all just perfect. It's like,
and paying attention to what you want your intentions to be. What do you want in your field? Pay attention to those things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then again, like you said, we can create any of it. So is there anything else maybe on a higher level that we could do that we haven't tapped in today? We've tapped into a bunch of them. Are there other things that you do that you'd like to bring in?
Right. So a lot of that is just in the connection, being aware, and frequency is everything. So when you're looking at frequency, whether it be tuning forks or singing bowls, or just nature itself, the frequency of nature itself is such divine magic itself. So connecting to the trees, the plants, the animals, connecting to the dolphins, the whales, taking time to make a personal connection and allowing that frequency to come in opens more doorways, whether it be classical music or jazz or any kind of Native American music, whatever it is that's calling to your soul, honoring your soul and listening to those messages that are coming through, and then finding those who are like-minded, or asking your guides, okay, who's next on my journey? Please make them appear, and vice versa. Who needs what I have? Make that happen. So when you're it's in the asking itself and the allowance that gets you to propel forward quite quickly.
Nice. And we used to have to wait.
Right.
But now we don't. And, it's like, I keep forgetting. It's like, I keep forgetting every day. It's like, oh yeah, just ask for acceleration. You can, if you're capable of handling it, you can ask for it all now. Before we were like, can I have it now? Can I have it now, please? Because we knew we still had to wait another 10 years, even if we asked for it now. But it's not like...
Right. And with mine, I asked them they knew me more and better than anyone else. And I asked them to make it a gentle stream. I didn't want everything bombarding me at once where I couldn't handle all of it. I wanted everything to flow. I wanted it to be beautiful, and I wanted to enjoy the experience of it, the entire ride of it, the journey. So it just depends on, your personality and what it is you're looking for.
At first you think it's just one or two things. Yeah, it's only the beginning of an endless journey of lifetime.
Right.
It's so fun at first, and I thought, I've been spending my whole life really focused on, spiritual and psychic and astrological, scientific, quantum levels of, thinking around people that just wouldn't talk about it, and now it's like, it's just so, I don't know. I guess because of the internet and us being able to connect, it's just so wonderful that it's all available, and there's no excuse anymore.
Right.
There is no excuses. You can't sit back anymore and say, well, I didn't know, or I didn't have the capability, or I didn't have the money. Right. You really, it doesn't cost you anything to meditate and go inside, even if you don't.
No, and that's the beauty of it. As a cosmic being, and we're all cosmic beings, we are all created from the stardust. We're all created from a crystalline structure. The access that we have is limitless. And in going within and getting to know your own frequency, and then branching out and slowly going through the layers of frequency, those doorways are going to open for you, and you're really going to fly through all of the beautiful things that you plan for yourself.
I see the Akashic doorway open as you're saying that. Maybe that's a good time to bring that in.
Yes. Very nice.
because there's like, a lot of people are not always aware of Akashic energy and capabilities. That's a new thing for people to learn.
Right. And it's interesting that you bring that up, because when I go into meditation, the more that I did it, the more that I began to see this field that looked like a web of interconnected lights that were just blinking and glowing. And I was able to literally travel, astral travel, to each of these lights and enter into different doorways of consciousness, into different lifetimes, and see, oh, this thing that I'm dealing with in this lifetime actually started back here. So I'm going to send healing back into that time and release all that. So then as you do that, that light begins to glow the same strength as all the others. But you're a cosmic being, so it's literally limitless what you have access to. You can create and manifest through each and every single planetary system, dimensional field, each star. It's just amazing what you have access to.
I want to ask you, but I'm like trying to figure out if I should or not. Would you want to do something like that this time, or would you like to maybe set up another time that we can talk and show people the channeling? Depends on
So a
how
little
you
bit
feel.
of challenge. I'm getting a frequency right now. It's actually Arcturian frequency. It's kind of fun.
Because I felt like something was coming through.
Right. And I felt something earlier, but this one's more pronounced. I'm really feeling it in my third eye. And it's beginning to beam in. So we'll just, again, breathe in that violet diamond light up, through, in, and around you, allowing that diamond light to connect to your cellular structure, your crystalline DNA. And as you breathe that light in, allowing it to flow gently out into your etheric field, your auric field, and on that very next breath, allowing that light to flow out as far as it can go and sealing it with the silver platinum diamond light, with the intention that all that comes to and through you now will be of the highest light and harmony, balance, and peace.
Would it be?
Greetings, dear ones.
Greetings. I love you. Thank you for coming.
As we love each of you,
Thank you for
it
coming.
is with gratitude and joy that we bring to you the frequencies of the Arcturian Council of Healing and Light. And we ask that you simply breathe and allow. You may feel and see sparkles of light. You may feel electromagnetic energy within and around you. You may feel a touch on the shoulder, your hand, your third eye, your knees. Just know that you are in a safe and loving atmosphere. So for all of you who carry the Arcturian heritages, and for all of those of you who carry other heritages today, just know that you are held in the highest esteem, the highest light and love. And one of the messages that we wish to bring forward for you today is that you were never meant to do any of your journey alone. You are not alone. You are actually, along with your angels and guides and family of light, surrounded by the most loving energies. And we are all here to assist you on your path of growth, not just as a specific soul and being in this time that you chose, but as a collective through the cosmic and planetary and dimensional fields of light. And the more that you connect, the stronger you become. So we send for you now, our dear star seeds and family of light, our blessings, harmonic love and balance within your chakra fields. And we ask that you simply see and connect to your solar field, specifically just above your navel, that bright yellow diamond light that is held there, where the seat of all that you are resides, all that you have ever been, all that you will be. So again, past, present, and future, culminating in this beautiful light of source, of cosmic light and frequency, of oneness that you are. Be aware, be the change that you wish to see upon your planetary system. Hold the light for those who have been struggling, and know, just know, dear ones, how very much you are loved.
Thank you.
We wish you joy.
Yes. Thank you so much. We love you too. Thank you for coming to talk to us today.
As we love each of you.
I'm so glad that we're not alone. Awesome. How beautiful.
Hello again.
I just love how you are just so awesome at that. It's so
Thank
awesome.
you.
And that makes sense for the message that was coming through too. That
Oh, good.
yeah,
That's wonderful.
Yeah, that we're just not, we're not alone, and we're not meant to be alone, and we aren't alone, and that we are loved. And it was very beautiful. Very
Well, I
beautiful.
thank you for sharing that Arcturian heritage with us as well.
Yes, I just am learning myself. I knew I was old. I just didn't realize how old. Eons and eons.
Yes.
I just love how comfortable and easy and you make it look, and it isn't, but it can be. I understand that, and
Right.
I love that you're a true channel. I love that you have the open heart in order to trust that true channel. At first, 20 years ago, I wasn't all that trusting. But I'm much more aware of my energies, and I can tell when it's of love or not. I mean, that's really how I don't want to say judge, I just discern whether it's full of love or not. And if it's full of love, it's got to be good. If it's not, then I just move it aside.
Right,
But,
right.
yeah, you're so pure. I just love that,
Thank you.
And so is Amanda. I want to bring her up too, because she,
Amanda's amazing.
isn't she? And I'm just getting started with her too. So, and she tapped me into her Arcturian. So it's like all three of us, now I've got two Arcturian sisters, and I feel so much stronger now because of it.
And we all carry points of light from so many planetary systems and dimensional fields that sometimes, even though you started with one and another one starts to call to you, it's because now it's time to tap into the frequencies of what you did in that time with them as well. So the more that you're open, that expansion just flows.
Just keeps going. Nice. Well, I hope you guys all enjoyed that. I was hoping that you would get to witness and see how, how wonderful that is. I mean, we have lots of wonderful channels, but to get, close to one and then see, just right how she does it, and there's no changing, nothing changed. Everything is just you and opening the door to allow that to come through. Because, so many people are skeptical and think that, all this is going to happen, that's going to happen, but it's not. It's just an opening of your heart and allowing it to happen. And it can be just that simple, especially when you know that you're feeling something. And as you were talking, I was feeling that. It's like, oh, but I was like, oh, should I ask? I didn't put you on the spot. I didn't, I wanted it to be okay. So, yeah. And I just love how you just quickly have no problem. You don't get put on the spot at all. If there's a message, you're ready to go. I love it.
It was through training, and yes, exactly. I was where everyone else was a few years ago. I started in about 2008, really getting serious about learning who I was as a soul and a cosmic being. So it doesn't really take that long when you look at the time frame. It was just a matter of doing it every day. It makes you stronger, and that's what Saint Germain told me. Do it every day. It makes you stronger. That was the message I got in Reiki. Do it every day. It makes you stronger. So you're going to miss a day or here. You may even miss a week or so. It's all good. You just get right back on that horse and start going. So it's just a matter of intention.
Well, that's what I was starting to say. It's like I've done all these things all my life. I thought I was pretty awakened, but I really am just starting again.
And it's true for all of us, I think, because there are so many things that happen weekly where it's like, oh, wow. I catch a new frequency and it's like something new to study. And I love that it's limitless and that I can just go, and I'm never going to get bored. Being the student of life is really important to me, to never get bored and to continue learning. So.
Mm-hmm. And that is wonderful because, you are learning right until you finally ascend. So, and that could be
Right.
lifetimes. So, I mean, we now have the door open for us to be able to ascend on a conscious level, but that just opens the door to, knowing that we can do it. It still
Yes,
takes a lot of time, but the confidence is nice, right? The
it is. It
confidence is
is.
knowing, gee, I don't have to die. Because that was where I hit
No,
my limit a
exactly.
couple years ago. I said, you know what? If I have to walk into a fire and come out on the other side and be that strong and that faithful, I have so much faith in my creator, but I don't know if I have enough faith in myself to do that. So I'm like, well, maybe I'll just stay here for a while. Bam, I hit the ceiling, came right back down to square one, and had to start all these things all over again. Because I just simply said that. And I was like, oh, dang it, between that and can I start at square one again? Oh, geez.
Yes.
Downhill, spiral. But it's okay because, I'm again coming back up even stronger. So, yes, I am now totally ready to ascend consciously without dying. Now that we can do that, I'm back on board again. Let's do this on a conscious level. I'll walk through the
Right,
fire
exactly.
because I know I don't have to die. So it's just the fact of the dying part that was the scary part. So now I know, I can walk through the fire now, just like walking on coals. I'll come out the other side because I don't have to die. It just
Right, exactly.
changed just the idea of the fear. It just changed everything. Like, okay, let's do this now. And that doesn't mean it's going to happen tomorrow. I'm just back on a lifetime journeys again.
Yes, definitely.
And the discipline. You're right. The discipline is really, if you're really sporadic about things, you're going to have sporadic results. Yeah, you are. If you're going to be disciplined about doing something every day, that's what I hear your biggest message today, is that if
Right,
you
right.
really want to get where you're going, you need to be disciplined and do stuff every single day because it makes you stronger. I like
Yes,
that.
it does.
Sound bad. It sounds very
And
good.
the nice thing is even though you do your sacred space in the morning before you leave, which was such a blessing being so empathic, I don't feel everybody's stuff anymore. Sometimes I'll be working or going somewhere and you start to pick up on other people's energies that are more misaligned. And you can just simply, again, pull up that violet flame, pull up your sacred space, and they just wash away in the fields. Your field grows and you can just continue to go forward and you stop feeling them. So especially important for empaths to learn how to do that sacred space. So,
Well, now you're, are you seeing, what are you seeing and feeling? Like, I'm like really looking in the skies a lot more. I'm looking for my dragons, looking for my ships. Have you felt or seen anything just recently this last week or so that you might want to talk
um,
about?
sure, the dragons are, they're just wonderful. They've been in our fields for a long period of time. And in the beginning, I used to see and feel them, only in the sky, but they actually are right next to us, especially those who have worked with the frequencies that they have worked with us. And so those of us who have that personal relationship with working with them and being trained by them in frequency work, a lot of times when I'm working with people, especially Reiki masters that are coming in, almost all of them have a beautiful dragon master that comes in with them as a protector, as a guide, as a family friend per se, because they work so many lifetimes with them, as well as unicorns, and there's the fairies, the sprites. There's so many that are within and around our fields that we don't even pay attention to. And the beautiful thing, as you're working with them, they're not just out there. They're right next to you. They're waiting for you to notice. And I've been really blessed to have several of them as my guides that have shown up at times and said, nope, not that one. And it was something I was considering, well, I could spend some time here. It's not really my thing. And they would just show, nope. And it's like, there's a reason they're saying, no, I'm going to pay attention to the frequency of what that brings. And I was able to see it in those that may have taken it and where their growth was or was not, on why it was, okay, this is why they challenged me to pay attention and sent me here, because that was their path. But my true path was here. I'd already done that lesson and they were able to show me, okay, yeah, that's not for you, that kind of thing. But you always have choice. That's the beauty of it. You always have choice. And so they would just show up when they felt I was going to something that was kind of really off my path. Then they would make themselves appear in full color. And it's like, okay, paying attention now. So
yeah, because I hear a lot of yes. I very rarely ever hear no. You know,
Yeah.
because everything's available. So if you're going, can I do this? Can I do that? Oh, sure. Can you? Do you want to? You know,
Right.
very rarely have I ever heard no. I mean, there was just one time where I said, okay, I'm not gonna touch you. I'm not gonna heal you. I understand you need to do it yourself. And then we were talking and things were going on, and it was a relationship, right? So I laid my head down on his chest, and, you know, I just happened to be talking, and then I reached over and touched, and all of a sudden I hit his heart, my hand, and Mother Mary, who I hadn't really even connected with that I
Yes.
knew of, came right into my face and goes, no. And it was like the only time I ever heard a no, and I'm like, oh goodness, I'm doing it, aren't I? I'm sorry. Because I realized that just by putting my hand over his heart that I already just started working on him and healing him, even though I just said I wasn't going to do it. Then I innately did it. And she popped up to say no, because I didn't even realize could, you know, do it without even thinking about it, right?
Right.
And so
Right.
I so recognized it right away, because her face came, and I knew it was Mother. I felt a lot of energies over my life, and I've been good at least being able to, you know, tell the difference. And this Mother Mary had a complete different energy than anybody else. That's how I knew it was.
Yes.
And it was
Right.
Mama coming to say no to me, because nobody ever said no before, right? I was only hearing yes, yes, yes. It was the
But
first
it was a great learning experience. She was
time, and it was
teaching you the
Mama.
discernment of this was yours to do, this was not yours to do. And sometimes we feel, well, I can because I have it. And they'll show up and they'll say no, or they'll put up, I'll feel like a stop energy. I'll just get a stop energy from them. And it's a conscious, okay, reconnect. What do you see around? What do you see happening within and around
Right.
them? And sometimes it's just that one of their medical team, because we all have medical teams within our star family. One of their medical teams needed to come in and do some work, and you were supposed to stay within, remember that purity, stay
Mm-hmm.
within and just be the vessel so that they could come through and do the work for their precious being that was there. And
Mm-hmm.
then when they were done, they would say, okay, now you can complete and close from here. And it's just being aware, being open to those precious connections that people have, that it's not always us. We always have to remain that vessel. So
I don't think I had taken my Reiki yet. It was before I was a Reiki master, or learning anything about it. And I didn't realize I was that much of a healer. I knew that my original abilities came out as healing first, and then I wanted to know all these other things. I just wasn't aware, because I'm like, oh, okay, I won't do that, you know, and I said I won't do it, so I figured that was good enough. So I'm like, I'll just go into loving space. Well, that's where all of it comes from, right?
right.
So it was perfect. And it was just wonderful that it was Mama, because I took it with such love. You know,
That's
she's like, oh my
beautiful.
God, she came to tell me no. Oh boy, Mama had to come to tell me no. At first I was like, oh no, am I bad? Did I do something wrong? And it was like, oh no, thank you, Mama. Because first of all, I'm glad it was you, because I can accept it from Mom. It was a loving no. And it was like, oh
Yes.
man, so you mean I'm healing when I'm just loving? Do you mean I'm actually healing just when I touch somebody? You mean I'm actually just healing people and I don't even realize it? It's like, oh, it was like, yeah, it was really a big thing for me. That's when I started down my Reiki path.
Right.
And I'm like,
And
wow, am
it's
I that
important to pay
strong of a
attention.
healer?
Right.
I had no idea.
Yeah. She's really good with bringing through those messages if we really get off. And I think for myself, it was a nip in the butt in making sure that I understood who I was as a conscious soul and what my job was, my journey was as a soul, versus trying to be the it and all for everyone, for everything. And
Right.
she, like you said, she comes through in those messages and tells you. And she did that for me with a family member where I was putting all kinds of worry and concern and thinking I was the only one that was the best for them. And it was many years before in my journey. And she showed up and she showed me this beautiful family member surrounded by angels. And in that beautiful message was, do you see their team? That's their job.
No,
And then taking my hands back to my heart space, that's your job.
it's your job.
This is what you're supposed to be working on. And all the energies, and you get this quick little review, all these energies you're sending, they're not helpful, because an angel has to stop and they have to take and deflect all that because we're conscious beings. So they had to deflect all the worries and things that I was sending instead of trusting the angels and guides. And that was a lesson in trust, that we each have our teams and we pick them for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So it gave me the clarity to see that this beautiful family member had their own team, and it wasn't my job to be that for them. And it taught me such a valuable lesson that I was able to step back and every day then go forward, especially for those of you who are worried or concerned about family members for a multitude of reasons. From that day on, I took and I put myself in a diamond crystal of light, headed myself to Archangel Michael and my angels and guides team and said, okay, I'm ready, I'm open. Then I also took those family members and I put them in that same crystal of light, and I handed them over to Michael and I said, this is yours. You know best what to do. And I let it go.
Nice.
And that's when my growth really started flying forward.
Nice.
So for those that are going through situations where they're really concerned about different members of the family, whether it be from illness, abuse, whatever it is, sometimes it's not your job.
Right.
And in that case, it was not mine. And in listening, I was able to grow and heal from my own experiences. And then when I healed myself, then go out and assist others.
And then to help. Absolutely. And that's with the ascension possibilities. You think, wow, what if I ascended right now, what about everybody I'm leaving behind? What's happening? And then it's like, okay, if we have to take them all with us, then I better get everybody together. And then I realized the DNA can be affected. So if I can't get my mother to change, because she doesn't want to, then that's not my job. That's for her.
Exactly.
And my children, of course, I want them up and better than me, right? But of course, that's another control thing, right? So when I realized that I can affect my DNA, and it'll automatically affect above and below, behind and in front of the other people that are on my DNA chain, then it's like, well, I don't have to do anything anymore. I just take care of myself, be the best I can be. Another reason for me to be better, because I will affect the DNA change. I don't have to tell my mother anymore, you need to change. I can do the same thing, because you feel one thing with the ascension, you don't want to go alone. But the other thing is you feel responsible for your family. You're out there trying to help the world, and you still got issues at home or with your family. It's like, well, wait a minute. They're the ones I should be helping. And yet, no, if they won't let you, they won't have anything to do with you or anything to do with anything you have to say or stand for. Then you're not supposed to.
Right. And recognizing they're a soul having their own journey, and just honor that. And
yeah,
that's
but
a big thing.
You block them and say, forget it. You're on your own. but when you can understand and say, oh, no. They have their own team. They have their own energy. They're on their own path, their own way. So what if they're family? They could be miles away from you, and it doesn't matter. They still have their own need. And obviously you're there and you're needed for them. And some point on their journey, they'll find you again. But if you shove your love on them and shove your stuff on them, they'll never come to you then.
Right. It's just honoring that journey and sending love.
Mm-hmm. And holding the really happy, loving space for them. And that really helped a lot in my family, just to back off, because I definitely can be a nurturing, controlling mama. And then when, I think I know more because I've, worked really hard and done all these things, and no one in my family's done anything, that way, right? It doesn't seem like, it seems like, okay, well, I need to catch them up. But they're doing different things themselves on their own inner journey, and they're just not talking to me about it. I just don't realize what they're actually really doing, and some of them are way farther than I know. They're just not telling me.
Right.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Beautiful discernment. Yes.
That's right. And you believe that too, right? That as we affect our DNA, we are also affecting the rest of our chain, right?
Well, I think we affect it to the point that we're meant to. I think it helps, especially because you are actually, in the way that you mentioned it, because as a star seed, as you reawaken and become conscious, that light shines for the next person, when as soon as they're ready, they're going to tap right into that. So in the way that you mentioned, yeah, exactly.
Right. So we start with our inner family, but then we start working out to our soul family, and we start working out to our galactic family, and realize they're all the same. So then that was my next question. If the DNA can be affected on your own chain, can't we also affect it on the human DNA chain?
And we do that through consciousness, and we see that happening already.
Right. So that's a big yes.
Yes.
So as long as we're doing it ourselves, we literally are affecting everyone else who's ready to tap into that.
Yes.
So
Being the one that's holding the light. Yes.
and that's really another reason why we should be the best we can be. Because, I've tapped myself down and held myself down for so long. It's like, I couldn't be the best I could be. Now it's like, dang it, come on, let's be the best you can be. So it's like
Right.
reasonings, all these reasonings are helping me more to say, okay, I got to stop this and I got to detoxify that. And because you really need to have a strong willpower when you're going to go tackle your last ones. Those last crutches, those last toxic things and toxic
Right.
people, you got to be really ready and strong to just say, okay, I can't do this anymore. And you got to have your reason why. I mean, I had my reason why to do them so I could control myself down more. Well, now it's like, okay, well, now you need to get rid of them so you can be the best you can be. It's like, all right, is everyone ready for that? And then I see other people, it's like, oh yeah, look at Tami. She's doing great. She can function in this world being 100% like that. It's like, okay, so that's how you're just an example, right? We all are examples. Plus what we can do is wonderful. But even if we didn't do anything, all we just did was express our stories and our experiences, just as an example allows everyone else to say, wow, if she can do it, so can I. And that's a big deal.
And everyone is capable. We're all souls. We're all crystalline. So.
And it seems like not everyone really understands that. And so just the most
as
simplest
it's meant to be.
Right. I know. Just the simplest thing, the simplest, most simple message is really the biggest one, isn't it?
It is. Just love, just being love.
I know, and there we are. We're back into the 70s love child thing. But, they had something right for a reason.
They did.
They did know it. It's just flower stuff, flower power. Well, no, it was real love. And it just, it's still true. It's still very true. So, okay, so I'm going to look at what we have. Where are we at time-wise? I don't see a clock on here. We've been talking for a good amount of time, haven't we? We're doing really good. Yes. So we did you have anything about any story or anything that you wanted to talk about?
Story?
Any, like your walk-in integration was a story. That was
that was a big one. For many years I wasn't happy with who I was, where I was, and I kept asking for change. Well, they have a funny way of having that happen. So I had a really big head injury, and when I came to, basically again that was one of those where I had noticed that I knew who I was, per se, name, date of birth, and things like that, but I didn't feel that person anymore. It was about a couple of years, a good 2 years before I actually reintegrated back in myself during that time. So there's different ways and different stories. One of my favorites, though, as we're going on stories, is here in Arizona. I went with some friends of mine, and we went hiking up north, and we had to take four-wheelers to get there. And it was one of my most profound experiences, because as we were on that journey, I suddenly began to see a Native American woman dressed in white buckskin as we were driving. And I was really stunned, because I didn't feel that my intuition was all that strong yet, and hadn't realized it was stronger, looking back, than I thought. And she started talking to me, and she integrated with me and showed me that in the time that she existed, which was 3 turns ago of the 12,500 years, they could see into our time, and they could see the struggle that we would have as souls, and the wars and the fighting and the illness and the disease, and they could see all of that. So in that time, because there was no TV, there was no, they lived literally in connection, complete connection with the land. And she showed me who I was at that time.
Nice.
And it was such a beautiful connection. And that's kind of how I got started with the Ascension Within site on Facebook, is because she came to me, and I'm a really big person on names and what do I call you? And it wasn't even at that beginning that I understood that that was me, and that many lifetimes ago, sending forward the information into this time.
Oh, nice.
But she literally, I felt every aspect of her as me, and didn't understand it was me at the time. But She showed me everything that they could see into our time and how they were holding the energy for us from that time, so that as we awakened, we just picked up the stick and kept going with that same energy.
Right, right.
And it was just a fascinating thing for me to see how people followed her, which was actually me at that time, and how they lived off the land, how they were in connection to every single thing, every heartbeat of the earth. And their biggest message was to be love, be kind, be that change, and to hold that energy, that as we hold energy now, that will be holding it for someone in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a really beautiful message. But her name was Shakiyat, and that's how I started my story on the Ascension Within Facebook site.
Nice.
You know, after a couple of years, it's like, okay, I feel like I'm supposed to share you, but how do I even begin?
Right, right.
So every now and then she'll come through and she'll talk as that aspect of who I was back then. But it's just a matter of being open. That's the biggest thing, is to open and allow and understand how very much you're loved, how much consciousness wise we have access to. So it's just being aware, being open, and know that you're loved.
And I like that you said that we have things from our past, because of the timelines coming together now. We can jump timelines and come from the future and tell us stuff now. It looks like we're predicting when really we're just from the future or coming from the past to show us who we were from before, to let us know that we, have that energy already. When you realize it could be, like you said, 1,000 different lifetimes. How could you remember them all? You just have to know that you've probably done everything in 1,000 lifetimes, especially if we're awake each time. Think about the natural abilities that you have right now, and you don't even know because you might not have tapped into them. But once you start, like with hypnosis, we can go into the past timelines and the forward.
Right.
And really
they're all happening simultaneously, because time itself is linear. So it's all happening simultaneously. So when you understand that and you've become so bright in your own light that you can access them all simultaneously, what we have access to through consciousness is such a beautiful thing of where we're going.
So to try to explain to people, if we have, I like to see, I originally saw 6, so let's stick with that instead of going to the 12. So if we've got like 6 of us, how do you explain that? I mean, I could see visually how I put my arms out and my arm would connect with the other person's arm and become one arm. And I could see that half of me was the other half of them, and then the other half of them was the one next to it. That was a visual, but that was so long ago. That was when I was a child, to try to grasp it on a human level.
Right.
But now I see it, and I'm wanting to confirm with you if this is a good way of explaining it, is that we have our higher angel, our higher energy of who we are, and sees it all. But we break out into fractals onto different timelines.
Right.
So that
it's all frequencies. It's all the frequencies that we exist within and are part of.
So when we pull them together, when we see them all together, that's all of our fractals at once being one individual strong angel.
Right, yeah.
But it's pulling it together that's difficult,
piece of consciousness. Right. Well, and it's part of the journey. It's part of the beauty of the journey itself.
Because I just thought of myself as, 6 different me's walking on 6 different planets at 6 different times in 6 different realities. And so I'm like, how are we going to all pull together on that one? But it makes more sense as a fractal to be experiencing all these different lives, but then to come into an understanding from above, from a higher, energy frequency, to see all of it as a whole picture. Then you're really seeing, effectively what's going on all of them. I'm just starting to tap into that, so that's why I'm asking you, is that what you see and how you see it?
Right. It's a good way to look at it, even as as a consciousness grid. Exactly. You're each part of every experience is part of that grid. So very good way to explain that.
Okay, good, because I had to take it from my visuals. So I got my first dimensional visual when I was very young, and then I put it away because it was just it just wasn't part of a conversation ever. So now that I can bring it back out, I'm seeing it as an adult and an more awakened adult now, and I see, oh, that makes much more sense. We have got one big old energy up there, an angel who's just taking care of everything, and and then all of our fractals, because that was in my quantum hypnosis. I said, okay, I'm a hypnotherapist for 20 years. I don't have a whole lot to ask, right? Because when you're doing your own work, you get your own answers. So I was like, well, what am I going to do? I'm like, okay, well, I want to know where the source is. I want to know where the collective consciousness is. Let's just go. And of course, I went right into the white light right away. I went right in and went right to consciousness, because that's what I'm like, well, that's all the only question I have. And then they took me right into the can I put it, the crystalline
grid. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that I could see all the shards, all the fractals of everybody. And I'm like, oh, is that how we can be side by side and not take up that much space? I mean, how can we all be in one place? And I was like, oh, I get it, it's through crystals. And I'm like, oh, so we could all be held. And then I went out to I'm lost in space. They used to have this little box in their little transport area where they would open up the door and you could go into another dimension. And you had a box of crystals with all the different colors. And that's what I envisioned, was this box with all these different colored crystals. And so I didn't know if it was a whole world or a whole multiverse, a universe, or whatever, but it was like each different colored crystal contained a whole bunch of people. Like it was a whole bunch of energy. So it was like a big collective conscious grid. So you could have everyone in one crystal, then another crystal, and you could have all the universes all together in one box. And then they took that vision, which was probably inspired, right? Long time ago to Lost in Space. It was like, or was it Lost in Space? No, it was Land of the Lost. Sorry, Land of the Lost, with the little green guys that would, open that portal. That was way back before anyone was even talking about that kind of stuff. And I so related to that. And then when I flew into my quantum hypnosis, that's exactly how they showed it to me, because they just kind of tapped in, I guess, to my memories and how to explain it. Was that there could be multiple crystals holding in all that collective conscious fractals. That was a big eye-opening to me. It's like, where is everybody? Is there I don't necessarily believe in a quote heaven or hell, but I do believe that we're all together somewhere, and we're all together, light, dark, and indifferent. That I've definitely grown to understand, that we're all one. So I was like, okay, where are they? And have you had any kind of connection with that?
With just the consciousness grid itself, as I awakened, the more I worked with it, the more I was able to see myself as part of a center that just expands outward with your field, and it's equally in every direction. So if that covers it.
Okay, so you picked it up and you put it. Okay, so I've made 3 portals and a grid out of that. So I've been pulling my consciousness into the grid. So I can go higher by saying, or farther by seeing myself in that grid, and then spread out to all the other grids, connecting with everybody else.
There's a multitude of ways to look at it. When you look at sacred geometry itself, if you picture yourself as the center point, each one is another frequency within and around you, growing outwards. So if that makes sense that way.
And our frequencies, we can just willpower,
right. And it's just like turning up a dial. You're just turning up and going to other frequencies.
Well, my menopause gave me a whole nother set of wings. So I'm feeling these iridescent, dragon type wings now that are, clear, on top of my Reiki angel wings for healing. So my menopause brought me another level, but because of that, going through it at the right time, I'm changing crystalline right through my normal hormonal menopausal change. So it's all perfectly divinely timed. I'm like, okay, this is all normal. I'm having
that works.
Time. But I'm changing my even though I'm past it, I'm still flashing like normal. But now they're different. They're the crystalline changes. I can tell they're ascension symptoms versus a typical hormonal shift. Because usually you can tell when they're about to happen. But the other ones, the heat, are like, these are different. They're different. I'm having, most of mine is coming through hot flashes. But I love the wings. So the wings help me instantly go to another higher frequency. And when I start shaking them and really making them fly, because they were wrapped around me in a cocoon for quite a while. It took that hypnosis for me to go into the crystalline grid and then see myself and my wings, and they opened up under that hypnosis. And then that's when they opened up, and now I've been trying to, practice more flying, because there are no limits, so I should be able to fly, but the time's not there yet.
Right, let yourself soar.
That's right. So I'm flying in my own, and eventually, the wings should lift me and carry me, because my angel wings are for Reiki wings. They were not for flying. They're huge. They're for healing and loving. So this second batch of wings are more for vibration frequencies and for possibly flying. So that's kind of how I bump up my frequency right now.
It'll be interesting to see where it goes for you going forward.
I know, it's all new. I mean, I try to raise my own frequency, but I find it much easier just to get my wings, start flapping my wings, and then they bring up the frequency for me. It's easier.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I don't know how to explain it other than that, and I haven't really talked about it to too many people.
Well, I think if you're just connecting, you're connecting with that energy too when you do that. So.
Is there any other advice you can say for people to help them raise their frequency other than like a positive mindset and willpower?
Right. And then get different training in different areas. You ask your guides to assist you on where it is you're supposed to be.
Yeah, that is your awesome ultimate answer. Everything is within, and all you have to do is ask, and then we're here for you when you have questions.
Right.
It comes from within, right?
Because the more that you talk to them, the more that they're going to guide you to exactly where you need to be. There's times where I've said, well, I'm doing this. Well, then that person went and did the same thing. And for some it worked, and for others it wasn't. They kept getting pulled back. And it was the fact that they weren't honoring what their guides were trying to tell them. So you want to be real specific with your guides, that you're ready, telling them that you're ready to work with them, that you're ready to acknowledge that they're there.
That's awesome.
And then that you're ready to listen. So
that matters.
Right.
I haven't always listened very well. And you have to quiet yourself for that. And when you're super busy all the time, even though you should. So everyone, that's been the number one thing today is if you really want to go to the next level or next few levels, is to get more disciplined about practicing every day, and more disciplined about asking for that help every day, right. And more disciplined about being more specific about asking for your help.
Yeah, very much so.
I like that. And it gives me a good reason why I should get more disciplined, because I want the end result. I want to, right. Be able to help more people, and I want to fly. I want to be able to maybe see things. So I'm trying to do more things on camera, because we used to see things before, and then they kind of stopped for a little while, and the cameras changed too, right? And we went to digital, things changed. So now I'm thinking, well, I'm going to start putting my camera on outside more often and see, because some of us are going to be allowed to witness our ships or our dragons or even fairies. The fairies came really quick. The orbs right. are there instantly, but they don't always, the camera doesn't always pick them up.
Well, and they're always there. It's a matter of
right.
you raising your frequency to contact with them. I get that a lot from people of, I'm waiting for the ship to arrive. And it's like, it's already here.
Right yes.
Start connecting. It's already here. They're not always going to pull themselves out in full color, because it's our job to do the learning in this lifetime. It's our job to increase our frequency to reconnect with them. That's part of this earth school, and learning frequency and learning how to live in a multitude of them. So, I've seen them where they've been full on, but I've also seen them etherically and known and felt the energy, and I just etherically go right there and I'm there. Mm-hmm. So it's a matter of training ourselves how to reach those dimensional fields.
Right. Awesome. And a positive mindset. I mean, when you really can get your thought, word, and deed into a really positive, loving flow, then your life changes. But you really have to start somewhere. And I know I've been my own worst enemy and my own mouth problems, right? So I've been working really hard this last year to change that mindset. And every time I say something negative, it still comes out, obviously, but the minute that it does, I recognize it, change it, and then it's happening much easier now. So that was just my biggest thing, was to get out of my own way. And to do that was to have a, much better positive mindset. And it takes 20, sometimes it's been less than that, 21 days to create a habit. But I like to say, give it a full month. Do something a full month. And if you can do it for a full month, chances are you're going to change that.
Exactly.
And create a new habit. But you have to do it every day for a good 30 days before it's a muscle reaction. It becomes automatic then. And so anything can be achieved basically in 30 days with 30 days.
Sky's the limit, right?
That's right. So, wow, this is awesome. I think we've tapped, now I'm looking at all these different things. I think we've tapped into everything just by talking.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Looking at all these possibilities, but I think quickly reading through, I think we talked about almost all of them. Is there anything else?
No, I think we're pretty good. I think we reached everything that was the goal for today.
Yes, and thank you. And it went really nice. Thank you. And Ascension Within?
Yes, www.ascensionwithin.com. That'll keep you abreast of all the classes coming out. And as well as if you're looking for some of the free meditations and tips and things, that's on Facebook under Ascension Within.
Okay. And then, yes, go ahead.
Oh, and then Meetup is when you're ready to sign up for any of the activities, then just sign up under Meetup on meetup.com for Ascension Within.
Okay. And so they're all the same. They're all across the board, Ascension Within.
Right. I've got all the names the same now, so it's easier to find.
Right. That helps a lot. And we'll hopefully add all that in here. Plus, we have your event. So we'll be putting this into your event, and then hopefully I can load it to YouTube. I haven't done it off of Zoom yet, but today is a Zoom learning day.
Yes.
So I wasn't sure how it would come out, but it seems to be awesome. And if it looks the same way as what we're doing right now, it will be awesome. It will be a little bit of time, so it'll take me a little while to upload it. Every hour, it takes about an hour almost to upload.
Okay.
So it's almost time for time. So as soon as this is done, I will download it from Zoom into my computer, then upload it to Facebook and to YouTube. And as soon as I do, it'll pop up into your event for everybody who wants to look at it. They're not seeing that yet, but they will down the road.
Right,
So
exactly.
We'll add all the information into your event. I think what we can do is put a post up there right now as the videos are about to come that have just all of your links only, just that in one post in your event. And then once this can go into the event, we can still continue to share the event anywhere you want. You just take that and share it into anyone. Then it brings in any information. So you can continue to use that event as long as you want. And if you want to add anything, just go ahead and add it to your event. The time-wise, we can't do anything to change the time, but the event stays there permanently. So I'm going to be taking everyone's events eventually with them. So anything you want to put in there, go ahead and feel free to put in yourself.
Sounds good.
Because every event is like everyone's little mini page of, the little promo page. And so it's awesome to be able to have it in just one link and send it, and then it's not so
right. It's beautiful. Thank you.
And that's why I put it in
all you're doing.
I like to organize. I'm really into organizing. So anything that I can find that makes it easier for people to access or to be able to promote with it, because it can be overwhelming when you have so much. So when it comes to promotion, you want to keep it very simple, down to one link where all the information is behind that link. So you only have to say one thing: ascensionwithin.com. That's all you gotta know. You can find it on our website, you can find it on Facebook, and you can find it on Meetup, and that's where Tami is. And boom, see, that's how easy it is. And
wonderful. Well, thank you.
25 different things, it's like you lose them.
Right.
So this is awesome. So we'll put all that in, and then would you like to come back another time?
Oh, I'd be happy to do that. Thank you.
I would welcome you to our board. You're definitely absolutely welcome, especially since you're also right here too. There's a real good chance we might be able to do something live with several people.
That would be fun.
So trying to group people together, that was the big announcement. I'm going not just one-on-one anymore, to be able to pull everyone together as a group and to be doing more group things. And then there's still a whole bunch of other announcements coming out. I'm pretty much launching everything right now, all new again. So I'm just basically launching it and doing whatever promotional things I can do. Like sponsors, that's the other thing I figured now. That's a way for me to help, bring some other things in to help out, is through sponsoring. But there has to be, a show to begin with. There has to be a need and people liking it. So, at first it was just a matter of bringing everybody in, and I'm sure everyone will like them. I didn't know where it would roll off or go to, but it seems to be going fine. So I'm going to step it up and go to the next level, and because we will need sponsors. And we will want to take it to, just YouTube is just the first start. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of anything technical. I'm a technical wizard. I'm a technical angel. So my higher self gets called on for technical issues. So, anything that we can go to and do whatever, on any scale, it's everybody's energy that's going to really, really send it going, I think. I mean, I can open doors and I can make things happen, but it's a combination of everybody together that is going to take it to places that I'm not even aware of yet. So I can't be controlling it. It's not controllable. It definitely source and energy is definitely behind all this. My ego is put aside. It's taken 50 years for me to put my ego aside. The last 5 years have really been, phew. And I'm more ready now to do this than ever, because it's really, spotting somebody else. It's not all about me. It's about promoting everyone. So I'm really glad that you could come on board, and I'm glad that you came on board when you did, because this is just pre-launch time right now. So everybody is my loving angel group to begin with, and now we're going to start bringing in all kinds of people. All of them will be angels, but there'll be all kinds of different, because all of a sudden now the energy of this is starting to go out there and touch other people. And so
wonderful. Well, thank you.
Definitely want you back for sure. We have a couple different things to talk about, plus the fact that we might be able to not only do an audience, but we could be live and do things as a group for different things. So let's just see how that unfolds. And I can't wait to have you back already. I want to spend hours and hours and hours with everybody and get them all back again, because it is hard. If you try to keep this in a half an hour or 20 minutes, you can't say very much. And I know I'm going a lot of time, but I will eventually figure out how to cut things down and make things, different. But from right now, it's just be real,
Sounds good.
Just be real in love and open the door and they will come. And you're a perfect example, because you're just, oh my goodness. I'm so glad you came. I'm so glad you came and we could do this, because you're just wonderful and you're so humble about it. I just love that. You really are very
thank you.
And it really shows.
I appreciate it.
It's really important, but it really shows. I want you to know that you can see how humble you are, and yet you're very strong and deserving and powerful, and yet you just have such a beautiful heart, and the humbleness comes out. That's what I'm trying to work on right now. I really.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you.
There's so much fire going all the time and all this energy, but I love it when someone like you is just so, just perfect. That perfection we were talking about, not necessarily the human perfection, but that spiritual perfection. Because
that's easy to be in spirit.
Well, for you, for us, for some people, they're still very, very stuck in their earthly, physical bonds. But they're coming. They're all coming, right? And the more we talk about it, the more it helps them to feel free to do it. And safe.
Wonderful.
Probably that's the best word, huh?
Yeah. The beauty of it is definitely that safety feeling.
We're holding safe space. And that's what I wanted to do, hold safe space for you, so I could introduce you to everyone, and everyone could see What a beautiful, loving angel you are. So all of you out there, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed Tami. And if you have any kind of a connection with her whatsoever, please contact her. She'll work with you on any level. And she's such a beautiful, wonderful being that even if it doesn't work out, I'm sure she'll be able to help you find someone that does. So if you feel anything connected to her, reach out to her and see how she can help you. Because she has so many ways to help. And we've given ascensionwithin.com, Ascension Within Facebook, and Ascension Within on Meetup. So please go and talk to Tami and connect with her and see what you can do. She can help you really quickly and give you lots of loving support. That's a big one.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I love you so much. Thank you for everything.
Love you too.
Thank you for your channeling too. I just kind of whipped that on you really fast. So thank you for doing that. But that's how you do. She just can hop right in and come right out and no problem. I just love that. So thank you very much, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you again, hon.
Wonderful. Have a great evening.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye now. Now I have to figure out how to stop this. Oh, wait, okay. I got it.